The Bills pull a Dick McPherson, but don't pull it off. And the Niners and the Bears go down to the wire. 49ers win. We'll break it all down, talk all about it on our Monday morning quarterback. It's the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. And we start live right now.
Let's go! Manchild wanna talk to you. Cause when comes for, it's always coming through. And Boy Green is always on the scene. And we're gonna always bring it to you live streaming. So get ready. Get ready, cause here they come.
Woo! What a great Monday. We're talking football. Man, a lot of things close to or getting decided. As he mentioned, those two games that came down to the wire. I'm probably missing some others, but the Bills going for two. Guts. A lot of people not liking it. I loved it, Boy Green. Absolutely loved it. We can break it down. Was it the right decision? Was it the wrong decision? But I loved it. Nothing going on in the first half. Everything going on in the second half. And the Bills go for the gusto. And Josh Allen misses a wide open Khalil Shakir. Heartbreaking. And, of course, that Chicago-San Francisco game, right down to, again, Caleb Williams, if he just could have got a little more air on that. Now, I know he's being driven back by a defender who was rushing him, and he's scrambling all over the place like a chicken without a head. But, man, that thing's up 2 feet. That's a touchdown. That guy is open enough for that thing to get in there, and it doesn't go in there. Unbelievable. And then, of course, at stake during that whole game was, of course, our fantasy matchup, which will not be decided until tonight. But, man, I have to admit, I felt absolutely brutal going into that game. I was like, he's got me. I was very close to sending you a text and going, all right, I'm throwing in the towel, throwing in the white towel here. I'm rocking it. All right. Apollo's already dead. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean for him to die, but I was going to throw the towel into the ring, Boy Green, just be like, come on. I mean, Caleb could do something, but I mean, am I going to really lean on Luther Burden here to give me a career night? Well, Luther Burden goes out there and gives me a career night. That is fantasy in a nutshell, man. I'm sorry that you had to experience that, but there is there are both sides of this coin, right? There's you who is walking into that game. Obviously, I mean, were you swelling, brimming with confidence? I would imagine that you somewhat were.
I was still, there was it's funny.
Not over. Of course it's not over. With Bijan Robinson still to play, it's not over, of course.
No, it looks unlikely, but we'll see what happens tonight. But no, heading into the game, I was just with a 50-point lead with what you ultimately have 3 players remaining after Tucker finishes off. And I'm like, a 50-point lead, and I knew I had one more player tonight. I'm like, I feel good, but I knew I could have been better because like a decision I was weighing during the holidays was like, I wanted to get Stephon Diggs in the lineup, and I wish we just had an extra position where you had to start a guy and I had to start a guy, and then it'd be easy. I'm starting Stephon Diggs, but I just battled it all weekend with Justin Jefferson or Stephon Diggs, and I'm like, man, how do you bench Justin freaking Jefferson? If even though it's Max Brosmer at quarterback, just throw it every time to Justin Jefferson, and he should just get volume. So I went back and forth. I'm like, I just can't do it. I have to play Justin Jefferson. I did. He scored 7 points. And I'm like, God, that's going to kill me over the weekend if Stephon Diggs goes off. And he went off. And so, yeah, that could have given an extra 15 points of cushion. So heading into Sunday Night Football, I was beating myself up that it wasn't a larger gap. I would have felt better because all I said in my head was this: give me Kyle Pitts in between a 10 and 15 point lead, and I feel good that it's going to handle it. Because even if Bijan goes off, I have enough cushion to swallow it. But now I looked at it, I'm like, oh, I don't know. And
now you're facing Bijan and you're down a couple of points. That's tough. Now you're asking Pitts to outperform him by a few points,
which can happen, but
it absolutely can happen. But will it happen? I mean, you're gonna need game script. You're gonna need some things to fall in your favor, and we'll see what happens. It's never over till it's over. Does not last night not prove that? I mean, my goodness, how does Luther Burden do that? And I could have really, Boy Green, had an easy answer for you on the Stephon Diggs thing. I could have started him. Just hand him over to me, and I could have started, and then you could have felt good about it. Diggs is starting over here. You got to. I think, to me, looking at your lineup, if I'm to like Monday morning quarterback, that's what we are today, right? We're the Monday morning quarterbackers today. If I were to Monday morning quarterback your fantasy team, I think I would have seriously been on the fence, Evans or Diggs. That's where I was. I wasn't on Jefferson. I'm playing Jefferson. I'm totally on board with that with you. I know about the quarterback. I know about everything that's going on in Minnesota. I cannot stomach sitting a Justin Jefferson because if he has a day, you are wanting to kill yourself. You can't do that. You have to play your stars when it matters, period. But Mike Evans is a different beast. He's back off an injury just for a couple of weeks. I know he looked really good. Okay. And that game also had the interesting thing, which I think would have made me hedge even more because it was a meaningful game. And there weren't that many of them. I mean, my guys were all playing in these meaningless games. I was like, oh my God, do I start Trey Tucker in this debacle where I know the Raiders are just throwing this game to the Giants? Like, I know it. I know what's going to happen here. But maybe he's going to be the one guy that's getting involved. I got to stick with it. I got to go with my gut rather than play a guy that I just feel is too much, a toss of a dart. So I think that would have been my dilemma if I were managing your team is Evans or Diggs, and I don't know. I think I would have leaned a little Diggs. I know Evans because of his history and everything he's ever done for fantasy. He catches touchdowns. There's so many reasons to lean on him, but Diggs has been on a bit of a burner. And I think sometimes you got to go with the hot hand, or maybe even Michael Wilson. I mean, Wilson did give you a good performance, so that probably would have been a mistake, I guess. But I think it would have been one of those two guys, not Jefferson. Jefferson, I would have left in the lineup. I don't think anybody of rational mind would have done that. That's something that you do when you're desperate. You and I have different dilemmas, okay? Your dilemma is I got so many good guys. Who the heck am I playing? I have no good guys. Who the heck am I playing? I mean, you talk about two opposites. I mean, I'm scanning the waiver wire like, I don't know. Could I throw Taysom Hill in there? He was good against the Jets last week. Could he go out there and give me 15 points? I mean, I was just looking at guys. I looked at Manor. I'm like, oh, gosh, do I throw this guy out there? The one guy actually I felt very secure about was Luther Burden. Not that I expected what he gave me. I did not expect that. But I had a very, very strong security blanket that he was going to get me between 10 and 15 points. I mean, without a Dunze in there in a meaningful game like that, I just felt like Caleb would look to him. Plus, I don't know if you read this, but in the middle of the day yesterday, we find out that DJ Moore and one of the other receivers had the flu and they were going to play.
Oh, I didn't see that.
They were sick to their stomach and they were barfing their guts up. So I was like, oh, well, right now, now Luther Burden has just gotten a little bit more important, dare I say. So like everything was kind of trending towards Burden giving me a rock solid performance. Now he goes out and has the best day of his career. Caleb Williams is in this shootout. I am like in the first half, in the first quarter, I'm like, this is exactly what I need. Throw it, baby. Just chuck it all over the yard. Forget about those dopey running backs and throw. That gives more chances for Luther. That gets my yardage up for Caleb Williams. I'm playing on these two players to get me back in this fantasy matchup. And I got exactly what I wanted. There were so many games that were so lame yesterday. I get the one gem on Sunday night that is a scoring fest. Okay. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey in the Triple C League, man. I looked like I was dead. Now I'm going to win by 40, man. I'm going to end up in third place in the Triple C. I was in the consolation game of the championship. So
you're blocking somebody out. We'll have to talk about what that means later. Yeah.
Was my nemesis in the league all year long. Love Thy Neighbors. He was right on my tail all year long. He was in first most of the year. I finally passed him late in the season. So he was probably thinking he's got a free ticket, and now he's finishing in fourth place. So that was pretty cool, man, to come back in that. I wish that was the championship instead of now. But McCaffrey obviously was going crazy. I was like, oh my God, yeah. They just keep giving it to him. He's hurt. They're still sticking it in his gut. I mean, what a game for Christian McCaffrey. So look, fantasy, man, it's so crazy. And this thing is not over. It is not over. Like I said, if it really is a battle, because we promised this last week. If we get into the second half and this thing is a matter of a few points, we'll pop in here and we'll do a surprise live. All right. Just me and him in front of our TVs, watching this game and just talking to each other like, come on, man, throw the ball. It'll just be the most ridiculous live broadcast you've ever seen. Two guys just rooting themselves on and rooting against the other guy in a fantasy football matchup of the Titans, man. It isn't. Look, this is the only second time we've ever faced each other. It would not have been good to do it the first time the way that thing went. But this time it's, there's still a game to be had here. This thing is not over. Bijan Robinson could pull his hamstring in the first quarter and I could be done. Okay. I could be done. That game could be over. This happens in football games. Running backs get hurt. Kyle Pitts could go through the pregame warmups and tweak his knee, Pitts is not playing tonight. No, you're done. I mean, like, it's just so crazy the things that can happen Although I noticed that you did very smartly go out and get the tight end for the LA Rams. So you always do that. I mean, that's always
keep playing
a wise choice.
fantasy, you know, just in case.
You keep playing until the very end. I was actually going to pick them up and block them, but I'm not like you. I hate doing stuff like that. So I'm not doing that, you know.
Two things here. I want to tell you this. So one, and here's another part of Unluckyville, right? So Kenneth, well, a couple of things. Okay, and the Michael Wilson thing, you said you may have considered benching him. I had an imaginary conversation with Michael Wilson because I don't really know him.
Oh,
I said, Michael, you've got me all the way here, buddy. I wouldn't be here without you. You're in the freaking lineup. So I had this imaginary conversation with my team about who's starting and who's not. I said, Michael, I wouldn't have been here without you, buddy. So you're going to be in there. I hope you deliver for me, but this is a legacy placement. And I heard Marvin Harrison was going to have limited snaps. So I said, ooh, nice. Excellent. So that was good news. The unluckiness of this, Zach Charbonnet, the backup running back for the Seahawks, who I have on my roster as well, he had the best game of his career.
Yeah, he played great.
And he had 2 rushing touchdowns, which could have gone to Kenneth all season long. It's been back and forth of Kenneth getting to the 1 yard line. Charbonnet, and I'm like, son of a. So he got 2 touchdowns. That's unfortunate. That could have given some additional padding. But no, I will be perfectly candid, Lurch. I was scanning the waiver wire all week. I'm like, how can I block the man-child with every possible way?
Anything and everything.
And here's where you got me that I didn't even consider because I'm an idiot. But who knows if I would have been able to block what would have mattered. But I went okay, his running backs are really good, but let me see if there's anyone I could block. And I went through and just combed through over and over and over again. Who would he possibly put his line? I'm like, adding him. And then when games are complete, all right, dump him. Don't need that loose body. All right, who's next? Who's someone else I can block? The position I didn't check was tight end. I didn't even think about it. And then when I looked, because every once in a while I'd say, did Lurch pick anyone up? Let me scan through his bench. And then when I saw a surge of tight end names of Mike Gesicki, Taysom, I'm like, damn it. I didn't even think about looking through tight end, which makes a lot of sense. You know, if you think about running back, 12-team league, everyone probably has between 5 and 6 running backs. The waiver wire availability of running back is non-existent because it's just you're going into guy 50 to 70 at tight end. Everyone might have at least one tight end on the roster, maybe 2, but you can get a guy of higher impact at tight end. And we have a unique thing in our league where a flex can be our tight end. But so that's the thing that I went damn it, I didn't think about that as I was trying to block you because I'm not above that.
As you noticed in the last few weeks when my team started just falling apart injury-wise, I went out and got Harold Fannin off the wire, and he's been my flex every week. So I've been starting Tyler Warren and Fannin. And it's every week I've just been need plug and play, baby, plug and play. And so Fannin was terrific. Talk about another stroke of good luck, too. Fannin catches that touchdown pass, and then he pulls up lame. I'm like, oh, no, it's the groin. He hurt his groin earlier this week. He's playing through it. Now he's toast. I knew he was done the minute that happened. Thank God he rolled into the end zone.
He rolled. He didn't even.
I was screaming at the TV. It would have been hilarious if we were online for this one. Roll. I was screaming, roll in. Don't lay there, you dope. Roll it. And he did. And I'm like, yes, that's a
6 more points.
Oh man, the fantasy is nuts. When you talk about the little things and these tiny points that make a difference, fantasy's nuts. It's absolutely nuts, man. We're way too fanatical about this.
That's true.
Way too. So
we'll see. I'll be on the edge of my seat tonight because I'm still praying and hoping to the gods that the right things happen where I can magically win this. We'll see what happens.
Listen, there's nothing for me. There's nothing like the guy I picked first, number 3 overall pick in the draft this year.
Oh, yeah.
And he's the guy that I have left. Like that. Yeah. There's nobody on my team that I've put more faith in this year than Bijan Robinson. So if Bijan doesn't come through for me tonight, I have zero regrets. Absolutely zero regrets. I didn't trade for him. I picked him. I plucked him. I wanted him. I loved him all season. He was in the starting lineup every single week except for the bye that he was out. Like, that guy is a ride or die for me. I'm riding or die with him. There's no backup. I didn't go get some scrubber off the wire just in case he pulls up lame. He pulls up lame, I'm done. I don't care.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson will either win me fantasy tonight or lose me fantasy tonight. It is that simple. I am ride or dying with my ride and die. It is just that simple. Period.
That's a
End
good
of
way to
story.
live. It's a good way to live. Again, that's how you started your fantasy. That was the main building block of the rest of your fantasy lineup. So, hey, man, that makes a lot of sense. So we will see tonight. We'll be on the edge of our seat. And again, if it is close, there's a chance Bijan Robinson runs for an 80-yard touchdown right off the get-go. We're like, oh, boy. Okay, well, that was fun while it lasted. So if it is interesting in the second half, I have no problem with jumping on, and we'll do a fun live show tonight.
Yeah, Jamie jumping in with this comment, and he's
Ooh.
right. It's funny, man, Chuck, because you always punk people for playing double tight end. You're right, Jamie, that you are correct in saying that. I have oftentimes been like, come on, what's with the double tight end nonsense? Remember a couple of years ago, Jordan McGee
Yes.
double drafted tight ends and did it fairly early. I think he had
Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews.
It's Kelsey and Andrews. I thought he had and I thought he maybe he did it. She did it again. Excuse me. I think she did it again as well when she did the Lions tight end. Why his name is escaping?
Oh, Sam Laporta.
She did a Laporta, somebody else tight end.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe it might have been Laporta and Andrews or something, but it was like
Jamie,
the historian, will put it in the comments.
Yeah,
in 2
yeah.
seconds.
But she's done
and
that
I was
before,
like, why are you doing that? Like, just, draft receivers, like, tight end, playing double tight end to me, this wasn't about me drafting 2 tight ends and playing them all year. This was desperation, man. I was like, who can I play that is viable? And then I fall into Harold Fannin, who was kind of on a little bit of a streak. And I was like, well, let me see if I can ride this thing. So I played him 1 week and he played great. When a guy plays great, you go, play him another week. He plays another week. He played great. And I'm like, okay, looks like he's my guy. And that was it. I didn't even start looking for anybody else in my flex. Harold Fannin was in there every single week. He had an outstanding season for the Browns. So a guy that nobody heard of, I think, coming into this draft. So that was pretty cool. That's part of fantasy too, is you find these players who you would never even know their name or know they exist. And now they're like your guys, you're like, this is my guy. Harold Fannin is my guy now, like what he did potentially to help me win this season. If indeed I win, I'm never going to forget it. I'm never going to forget the ride, dare I say, that Harold Fannin gave me when things went upside down and backwards on my team that was once so mighty, that fell apart, fell to pieces at the back end of the season. So one more to go. Monday Night Football. It's going to be a blast, folks. Hang around if Bijan's quiet and Pitts is moving a little bit, or that thing is, toe to toe right around the kickoff of the second half. Boy Green and I will be doing a late night jobber. We will absolutely mess with each other right down to the wire and congratulate whoever ends up winning this thing. So, but it's been a great season. It's a fun season, and win or lose, it's been a fabulous fantasy season. I think anytime you finish in first in a regular season, it's very, very rewarding. Of course, you want to win the whole thing, but to me, I always think the winning the regular season is the hardest thing to do. The playoffs, there's so much luck involved, and just little things that can just take you down that you don't even expect. So, but what a great season from everybody. So one more to go. It's going to be awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, real quick, just because we're swimming in fantasy waters, Lurch, we could give some shout outs to our, if it's decided for some people or not, the Chumps League. While this guy talked a lot of trash, and he will be coming up because he finished in the top 3. He did not win the championship.
He did not.
Mike Nikoski is winning by 20 points, and he's got players left to play tonight to add to his total, but it is over. Mike Nikoski is back.
Bravo. Mike
he
is
won
back.
the Chumps League.
Third time now. He's gone down twice and come back now twice. Remarkable.
And it's pretty cool. I want to give a shout out to this, breaking the fourth wall here. We had an emergency in our Champs League where someone that was supposed to be at the live fantasy draft could not make it. And we started to go, okay, well, and it was hours before this draft was supposed to. I'm like, we need to start making calls. I'm like, I got to be on the edge of my seat. We need to get somebody here.
We can't have an empty chair to draft.
No, of course not. That's going to ruin everything. I don't want to auto draft to be stupid and we have a party and that'd be ruin the atmosphere. So I'm vetting through possibilities. And one of the possibilities was Mike Nikoski, who had other plans. He says, I don't think I could do it, but if you absolutely need someone, I would have. And now he punches his own ticket to get back. Yeah, there's nothing like earning it that way as opposed to finding it in that way. So a big shout out. I want to give a shout out to Mike Nikoski here. And I see in our Triple C League, one of our guys, John, has 121 points. He is done. He has no more players left. But Vrabel's Rage, Jeff, who's been talking about coming up to this league for a while.
The trash talker. Yep.
Yep, he's down 27 points, but he has Matthew Stafford and Bijan Robinson. He is projected to win the championship,
probably will.
and he would also punch his ticket in. That looks very good for him. We'll see if that ends up
He's
happening.
the guy that knocked me out, man. He's the guy that knocked me
Yeah.
out last round, man. He had a good week against me. It looks like he's going to have 2 in a row. So I was hoping I could win that league, but he knocked me out last week. So looking good.
And shout out
Looking
one
good.
more to the Quad Cities League. The best team in any of our leagues is Big T Thomas. He had a 13-1 regular season, and he is finishing off. He has already won, and he is finishing off his championship. He is projected to score 160 points. He already has 114. He's got Puka Nakua, Drake London tonight, and the other team only has Colby Parkinson, but he has a 30-point lead. So it's over. So congratulations. That's one of the best fantasy seasons we've ever had in any of our shows' history. So shout out to Big T as well. So those are all our champions. Congratulations.
All right. So moving on up. Always fantastic, man. When you get to move up, there's a good feeling. Join a new crew of fantasy players and hope to make your way to the live draft, which is fantastic. So, all right. That's enough on fantasy for now until tonight. When the final countdown, the final showdown, myself and Boy Green. But man, what a flip of the script that was on Sunday Night Football. Wow. Whew. I stayed up for every last.
I did as well.
And to be honest with you, you talk about, again, the little things, and we'll see how this plays out. If Caleb Williams completes that pass or that hook and ladder gets into the end zone, okay, we get a whole different situation here. Caleb gets another 4 points for the touchdown, right? Whatever the yards is,
correct.
So now I'm up like 7 or 8 points with Bijan Robinson versus Kyle Pitts.
And
that's getting close to insurmountable, not impossible. Like I said, things can happen, like he can get hurt, but barring something like that, if they just play the whole game and, kind of do normal things, no chance, but anyway, that's why we play the games. And that's why, if you looked at it before Sunday Night Football, you're like, oh man, child, sorry. I was getting some condolences from people,
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry,
Wow.
Man. It's not looking good. I'm like, yeah, well, you never know. It's got Sunday Night Football. I got two guys going Sunday night and I got my best player going Monday night. So if they can just get me in the mix, then I can pray for an explosion of one of my best players, so that's what I was hoping for, but I didn't think that I would be in this position. So I'm definitely in a better position than I thought I was going to be. So thank you, Luther Burden. Luther, man, you're on my good list, man. You're getting a Christmas gift from me, man.
And then Luther Burden got hurt on the final play of the game. He had to be carted off the field. I'm like, dude, you couldn't have got hurt earlier. I never root for injuries, but come on, man.
It's a quad, they said. He looks like he's going to be okay, but
good for
maybe, him. Maybe with not as much at stake next week, they'll sit him and get him ready for the playoffs. I'll tell you what, he looked darn good in that game. I mean, he's a guy that a lot of people liked coming out of the draft and had a couple of flashes during the regular season, but that was kind of his, his coming out party last night. That was
for sure, no doubt.
An exceptional game for him when they needed him in the shootout. They needed him to be a guy, and he was a guy last night. That was really terrific. Caleb was looking for him. It was fantastic. Okay. All right. Well, there were real football games played around this whole thing too. And as we said, they went down to the wire. My Giants, unfortunately, went out there and decided they were going to play football and play hard against the Las Vegas Raiders. I feared they would. And I know I'm happy for the players. I'm happy for those that go out there and stick their necks out on the line every single week and play this game called football that I could only dream of playing, with the speed that they play at and the size and everything else. You'd never want players to lay down, but man, it sort of looked like the Raiders were laying down and they just let it happen. And so it does appear that Las Vegas is going to have the number 1 overall pick. Now they do play the extremely banged up Kansas City Chiefs next week. So that could be interesting. But I still think that Vegas will do everything it can. I mean, they put Max Crosby on the IR, and then we'll get into the video, but Max Crosby puts out a video on Instagram, I think it was, of himself jumping on a trampoline and then shooting baskets in what is obviously his personal gym in his mansion of a house that he has wherever the heck he lives. I'm assuming it's in Las Vegas. And, I mean, that just is not a good look. This guy has been shut down for the season, essentially, sent home. Don't even stand on the sideline with your teammates. And he's trampolining and shooting hoops and having a great time like it's the off season and it's one big party. I mean, Max Crosby, that's not a good look. I mean, what do you think of that, Boy Green, before we get into the standings here? What did you think of Crosby putting that video out? What are you thinking? Even if he did that, okay, you don't shoot a video of it and then put it out on your personal video site. What is he thinking? That's lunacy. Oh, God.
Yeah, he was obviously absolutely livid. NFL insider Jay Glazer was the one who broke a lot of the story of the Max Crosby beef, where he comes into the building. Raiders say, "Hey, we're going to shut you down," and in very contentious fashion, he says, "You are absolutely not going to shut me down. I can play. I know I've got a knee thing, but I've been battling it all year. Why all of a sudden now would you say now is the white flag?" So no. And then they get into this contentious thing where the Raiders say, "This is best for us and you." Wink, tanking. And Max like, no, especially with his very passionate plea earlier in the week. The Raiders had to throw him in the minivan. Max Crosby was asked about the tanking thing, and he said, we could, I guess, say anything on the internet, but I try to avoid swearing out of nowhere. But basically, fuck the number one pick. I'm Max Crosby. I'm trying to play to win the game. And then the Raiders immediately put him on IR. That's interesting timing, by the way, for all that.
Sure.
But no, I mean, obviously, it's a temper tantrum has a lot of connotation, but he throws a temper tantrum.
This was Max. So if I get this straight, this was Max firing back at the Raiders.
Oh, yes.
How dare you sit me when I'm capable of playing? And let me show
the
people here that I was totally capable of being out there. But this is
you're the one who did this. Yes. So yeah.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I wonder, does this raise to the level of the NFL stepping in here and maybe finding the Raiders or looking at this under the microscope a little bit? Because here's a player basically saying, I was equipped to play and my team put me on the IR and sent me home. Now, of course, they're going to try to back that up with doctor's notes and all kinds of things to say, listen, we don't want our star player getting hurt anymore. And this was, to us, the prudent choice considering our situation during the year. So, I mean, the Raiders can, dare I say, create a good defense. If I were a defense attorney, I feel like I could create a nice defense for the Raiders. But the league also needs to look at this from a competitive standpoint and say, hey, is this purposeful tanking here? Is this a way of a team working around our rules, essentially, to put a guy on the sidelines who doesn't even want to be put on the sidelines in a game that could decide who has the number one overall pick, which obviously it did. So, boy, that's interesting. Okay. So,
and one more,
just
on Brock Bowers. So when they announced that he was being placed on IR earlier this week, they didn't say he suffered a new injury or anything. They sort of use the same phraseology.
They were shutting him down for the year.
They're shutting him down for the year. It's best for his future long-term health so he can worry about 2026. Again, same sort of thing. They're a guy that in any normal circumstance would have played in the game, but because the number one pick's on the line, they grenaded him. So that would increase or decrease their chances of winning, which increases their chance of getting the number one pick. That's the same thing. So the NFL should absolutely investigate this because this has been the most apparent level of tanking I've seen in quite some time, especially when you get to this kind of level.
That's terrible for the league. That's a terrible look for the league. And you know what? There are ways around this, by the way. Like, you don't IR either one of those two guys, but you do have a sit down behind, private, behind closed doors, and you say, hey, listen, we're in a situation where these games and the outcome are not vitally important to our organization. Our future is more important. Therefore, we're only going to put you out there for a few snaps today, or we're gonna kind of downgrade your play. Like, a coach can always make a decision not to play a guy, but when you put a guy in IR, it's a clear message: we're not playing him.
Right. You have no choice anymore.
I think people would be more understanding, and the competitive world would be more understanding to a team just playing some of their stars less. Okay, in these situations, it's just like the preseason, right? We go, all right, go out there and do a series, guys. All right, and that's it. First team, all right, off the field, let's go. Second teamers out there. You just want to give them some reps, give them a little bit. So you could do the same kind of thing, and then it's not so blatant as, we're just going to IR a bunch of guys so that we have no choice but to play other guys the entire game, and as a result have a much weaker team. I don't like it. Look, the Giants don't need the number one overall pick, which is, I'm sure, part of why they continue to play hard or whatever. They don't need it. They have a quarterback. They believe he's their future. They're going to get a very high pick no matter what. So, they're in a great position. But again, that position would have been enhanced because they are a team not in need of quarterback health. We all know that the number one pick typically almost every year, as long as there's a viable guy out there, goes to a quarterback because everybody needs him so bad. And the Giants could have gotten assets. So now the Giants will lose some assets here by not having that number one overall pick, assuming Vegas doesn't win next week. And, I know mathematically the Giants are still in this, so I know it's not over yet, even though they are a game behind. If they slip back into a tie with the Raiders, there's a very good chance the Giants would pass them based on
That's
strength
correct.
of schedule. So the Giants would have to lose, obviously, and the Raiders would have to win. What about Giants and Jets? Where do they stand against each other?
Yes, so Giants have a significant strength of schedule advantage over
Okay.
the Jets, so it's significant. But here's an interesting fact, right? So if the Giants beat the Cowboys, who knows what the Cowboys' motivations are in the final week of the season?
Right.
Lurch, right now your Giants are picking 2, not what you wanted, but still not bad.
No.
If the Giants win, they would fall all the way to 7
Yeah,
if
see,
they
that's
win.
bad. That's
So
bad.
because their strength of schedule is 531, so against all the 3-win teams, they have the
No
advantage.
problem. But
However, against the 4-win teams, Cleveland and Washington have a much different strength of schedule, which would leapfrog the Giants. So again, they pick at 2 right now. If they were to win, and well, I guess Cleveland and Washington would each have to lose, but they've been losing a lot, so that's very possible. You could drop to as low as 7. That's the lowest you can drop, but 7, I mean, 2 to 7, that's a massive gap of players you can acquire.
And you know what? That would be so Giant-like, because this is what we've done in recent seasons. I mean, you and I, we've been on the Giants for years and years, covering them on the radio show, and the Giants just find ways to win these meaningless games 2 years in a row, or 2 within 2 and 3 years. They had meaningless games at the end of the year with the Washington Commanders and won them both, and it dropped them in the draft several spots. It was just like, come on, you know.
And last year, Lurch, remember you beat the Colts with Drew Lock,
right?
And that was the one.
Drew
You
Lock
guys
went
had
out
the
there,
number 1 pick last year too,
Yeah,
and it fell apart. So yeah, that's you have the Chase Young year, which is a couple years ago, and then you have what just happened now, and then you have last year with the Colts. So it's happened several times in the last couple of years. Yeah.
Like, I respect my organization for being competitive to the end, but there is a point at which it's no longer prudent. It's just not prudent, and nobody's going to remember, okay? Except who you picked, and picking at 7, there's a big difference between picking at 2 and 7. I mean, let's face that. You know, the choices you will have at 2, or the maneuverability potentially you would have at 2 versus 7 is gigantic. So, yeah, the Giants can't win next week now. This game was eminently winnable, and you had 2 teams that were both trying to tank, so somebody's going to tank worse than the other, and Vegas tanked worse than the Giants. But the Giants better go into full tank mode against Dallas next week. They better.
And they nearly beat them earlier in the season. They lost in overtime. So I don't know.
I know Dak's been talking a good game, that he's going to be competitive to the end, and obviously they have, very good players on offense. So hopefully that won't happen, but this might be the first time in my life I'll be rooting for the Cowboys. Okay. This might be the first time in my life that I'm rooting for the Cowboys. But I knew we were going to blow the number 1 overall pick. I just knew we were going to blow it. We just always do.
But I do want to give a thank you. I want to give a thank you to the Cleveland Browns for upsetting the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
that was great for my picks. We'll get to that on a different segment later this week. So thank you, Cleveland. But also because that rose the Jets from 4 to 3. So now they're picking 3rd overall thanks to the Browns. And we are still alive for the number 1 pick. It's a 3-horse race between the Raiders, Giants, and Jets. Raiders have the best odds, of course, naturally, but it's a 3-horse race. So thank you, Cleveland, for your contributions to the tank.
And every spot the Jets move up, okay, means essentially, let's just say they wanted the number 1 overall pick, all right? And I know Vegas wants it too, but but whatever. They want it really bad. They can give up less.
That's 100%.
You're sitting at 7 and you're trying to get to 2 or 1. You're giving up major assets. You're sitting at 3 and you're only trying to move up a spot or 2 to get the guy you want. That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So the Jets, who have all that wonderful draft capital and can really rebuild their team in the next couple of years, or will have the chance to do so if they choose wisely, have put themselves in a better position to not to have to give up as much to perhaps get the guy of their dreams. Okay. So we'll see how that all plays, but it's not over yet, but I do think it's going to end up looking exactly the way you see it on your screen, 1, 2, and 3 right now. I think it's going to be Vegas, followed by the Giants, followed by the Jets. I think it's going to be those 3, right? The Jets can't get leapfrogged by any of those others, right? It looks like strength of schedule.
The strength of schedule is too large between
Tennessee's not going to jump them. Arizona's not going to jump them. Okay. So without a win, and I don't think the Jets win. Who do they have again? I forget who the Jets have.
The Buffalo Bills in Buffalo.
Yeah. Okay. So they're not, no. Okay. All right. So there you go. Okay. Jets are losing. They'll probably, hopefully it's not as titanic as that disaster yesterday.
Yeah. 4 straight losses of 20 plus points. Yeah. It's the worst. And think about this, Lurch. There's been a lot of football played in history of football. The Jets now in the month of December have the worst point differential of any loser in the month of December in their entire in football history. So it's been ugly.
And here's the thing. Aaron Glenn did what is always a dangerous thing to do for a head coach. And that is you play the effort card. Okay. Because when you point the finger at your team publicly, and I'm not talking privately, you can point your finger at the team all the time, point your finger at particular players. I'm sure in the film room on a weekly basis, NFL coaches and assistant coaches say, "Hey, John, what happened there? The play didn't end, and you're standing there. What are you doing? Like, this is how you teach the game of football. You have to question players when they stop, when they're not continuing to wind when a play is still happening. So effort is always something that is addressed on the practice field in the film sessions. But when you bring effort public, as Aaron Glenn did at the podium after this Jets game and said he didn't see the effort from his players, you're opening up a can of worms that either helps turn it around and get your team's attention, or you start to lose the locker room. And now you get the murmuring, all right? And if leadership doesn't coalesce, and when I'm talking about leadership, I'm not talking about coaches. I'm talking about those player leaders. I'm talking about those veteran guys, those locker room guys on the Jets that are the ones that set the temperature for this team on a week in, week out basis, that are the voices that are listened to on a week in, week out basis. And every team has them, by the way. And there's usually more than one. It's not one guy. It's usually 5, 6, 7 different guys. Okay. That core either gets behind their coach and says, "Coach is right. There was no effort on that. And we're going to bust our butts this week. And we're going to get this thing right because we're the freaking Jets." Right. Okay. Or they're going to go like, I was I was playing hard. What was he seeing? My buddy over there, he was playing pretty hard. Were you playing hard? Yeah, I was playing hard. What's he talking about? And now all of a sudden, you could have those 6 or 7 leaders of the team now spreading the gospel in the locker room about how coach is not in touch with our team. That wasn't lack of effort. I mean, that had nothing to do with effort. That had to do with this, or that had to do with that. What are you talking about? I'm out here busting my butt every week, and he's going to question my effort to the public, and they're going to write about this in the newspapers. You kidding me? So that can blow up on you. That is a very dangerous game to play. And Aaron Glenn even kind of said, I think he said it directly in his quotes, but you correct me if I'm wrong. You're the Jets guy. I know you're analyzing all this stuff, BG. But what I read, was basically that Glenn feels, it seems, or maybe this is just the opinions of writers, so maybe you can clarify this for me, all right, that he has the backing of the owner, that the owner at this point still believes in him, and therefore he can afford, dare I say, to call his team out publicly because his job is not in jeopardy. When you have a coach who's on precarious ground, they're not going to do something like that, because if you've already lost the owner and now you lose the players, well, you're pretty much toast. So he feels like he has ownership at this point still in his hip pocket. After all, he did sign a 5-year contract, for crying out loud. He is a former Jet. There's a lot of ties here between him and Woody Johnson. And he was, dare I say, throwing the rose petals at Woody's feet, even after that debacle of a loss yesterday. He feels like he has management support. Therefore, he can go that direction. But I think it's a very slippery slope. Give me your take on that.
Yes, so there were 2 public votes of confidence to me of Woody Johnson AG. There was one literally, the New York City League meetings in the middle of October. Woody Johnson came out and said, "AG's my guy. I hug him every day. I love AG. He's my guy." And that was very public in the face. The other one was the NFL trade deadline. When they allowed AG in this group to trade away Sauce Gardner, Quinn Williams for 1 million first-round picks, that was a vote of confidence. You wouldn't allow someone that you're going to fire in a couple of months to pull that trigger to do it. So interesting, you're right. AG, for the first time all season, called out effort yesterday at the press conference. And he said, for the first time, I didn't see effort. I questioned it. AG had one of the fastest backpedals of his career, Lurch, because AG spoke right before we did this live show.
Oh, did he? Okay, that's right.
Interesting.
He on Mondays. That's right.
He does. And AG, a cornerback, is used to backpedaling, but the backpedal I saw this morning was interesting.
Interesting.
In his opening statement, right? So he addresses the media in a Zoom fashion in this new world. On Mondays, it's Zoom. The rest of the week, it's in person. And he said, "You know what? After reviewing the tape, I take back what I said about effort. The effort was not the problem. This was the problem. It was on us as coaches, this. So what I'm curious about is, so yesterday, AG calls out effort. So what happens is, it's sort of, I would imagine it happens this way everywhere, but our Syracuse local flavor I can give from when I covered the team pre-COVID, we would speak to Jim Boeheim after the game. Jim Boeheim would speak to us for a few minutes, however long we wanted, and then they would open the doors of the locker room. And we, the media, would, okay, thanks, coach, Syracuse basketball head coach Jim Boeheim at the time. We go to the locker room, and sometimes we'd say, hey, O'Shea Brissett, I don't know if you heard, but coach just said this at the press conference. Your thoughts.
Mhm.
We want
Yeah.
your reaction to what he just
Right.
said.
Try and get him hot off the presses. Yep.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's what happens in all sports, because what happened was AG,
Right.
spoke to the media. Media goes, oh, interesting. Oh, effort is in question. Interesting. Locker
Let me
room.
go talk to some of those leaders about effort. Exactly what I was just saying, right?
And that's exactly what happened. They went to one of the leaders on the team, Jermaine Johnson. They said, hey, Jermaine, coach 3 minutes ago just called out the effort of the team. The player leader, Jermaine Johnson, scoffed. He gave this like effort. And then he gave all those things we were just saying. I don't know. I thought I was grinding pretty hard out there. I'll have to watch a tape because my teammates seem to be going hard, but I hey, I'll go back and look at the tape and see what's up. And there was all that hoopla in the locker room, like, oh, some ruffled feathers. Now all of a sudden, his next immediate media availability goes, well, I don't know if effort was the problem. Oh, interesting. Did he backpedal because he got some clapback from some of his leaders? Was it genuine? Did he think from his catbird seat on the sideline that he thought he was seeing effort questions? So the tape goes, oh, I was wrong. I don't know, but that was an interesting backpedal from AG right before our show about it.
See, the problem is with effort is that effort is ultimately, while of course it's up to the players who are the ones out there giving the effort, it is up to the coaching staff of every team to get the maximum effort out of the players. And that discipline, that creation of that culture happens on the practice field. It happens in the locker room. It happens before the games ever start, and then the players go out and play. I mean, one of the great cool things about John Wooden, the great college
UCLA,
one of the greatest coaches in the history of mankind. If you haven't read his Pyramids of Success book, please go read it. It's a must read for any sports nut. Okay. But what Wooden's philosophy, okay, and it's not one that's taken up these days by most coaches or almost any coaches, but Wooden's philosophy was that I prepare the players for the game in practice. And when the games start, it's the players. I am now just directing a little bit here, but I literally am the puppet master, has pulled the strings, and now the puppets are out there dancing on their own. Okay. That's the way Wooden looked at it. So he felt like everything that he could possibly accomplish would happen before a game ever started. And then once the game started, now it was up to his players to take what he taught them and put it on, put it into effort and make it happen.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. Now we have so much hands-on. I mean, heck, in the game of football, the quarterbacks have, earpieces in their helmets.
The Mike linebackers have
one of the key guys have an earpiece. I mean, they're literally, no, switch it over to 3-4, jumping over here. Let's go cover 2. They're yelling things in the middle of a play. Okay. And that person is audibling to the rest of the players on the defense or the offense, what they're going to do or what the changeup might be. I mean, the hands of the coaches are so in on everything now. Okay. Wooden didn't believe that. Wooden believed hands off. We practice, we plan, we game plan, we're done. Now it's time to play the game. Game's played, result comes in. Okay, next game, we start all over again. Okay, before the game, we get ready for that game. We get our game plan together, so on and so forth. Wooden also was a great believer that he didn't really believe in game planning for his opponents. He just believed in getting his team ready for the next game. So let them plan for us. We plan for us too. We don't worry about them. If we do what we need to do, they don't need to do it.
That's
bold. A very interesting, bold philosophy. Cocky as you might seem, but go look. I mean, UCLA, obviously, they had the best players.
All those championships, right?
But John Wooden had a very interesting philosophical way of coaching, and I don't think anybody's tried to replicate it almost since, because it is very unique, and it is the complete opposite of what we see in the NFL today, with a million coaches, strength coaches, nutrition, assistant to the assistant to the assistant. Heck, half the time we see a hire in the NFL, like he was once the video guy, then he was assistant scouting, assistant, and then he was, assistant to the traveling secretary, George Costanza. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this. Yeah. These guys go through all these positions before they actually get the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, maybe even ultimately head coach. There's just so many levels now in coaching, where it used to be much more fluid, much more fluid. So it's a different game today than it was then. So I'm not going to compare that era and this era. But, it is what it is. But the fact of the matter is there is something to be said about hands-on versus hands-off. So again, back to AG. The danger here is AG calls out his players for effort. And if that leadership, as you were saying, Boy Green, very smart of the media, that's exactly what I would have done if I were a beat reporter. Would have gone right out of that one, right to one of my leaders and said like, hey, just a quickie, one more quick follow-up question here. AG just spoke and he talked about effort. I was just wondering how you feel about the effort, because he said the effort just wasn't there today, and now you get that reaction. There's no question. Glenn hears that. Okay. He hears that.
Yeah, of course.
The last thing I need to do is lose the 5 guys in that locker room that I know are the ones that basically set the narrative. If I lose the narrative in that room, I'm screwed. Okay. Now it doesn't matter what I say. They're in rebellion mode. They're not playing for me anymore. I'm toast. So come on. Any good coach knows that, including a young coach like AG, at least young in his head coaching experience. So I think, again, I'm still rooting for AG. I think you are too.
I absolutely am. Yes.
Jet. But he's got to learn quickly here. He's making some mistakes here early, which young coaches, by the way, young head coaches do all the time. All right. He's not a young guy. He's an older guy who's been around the block. He's been in some high profile
53.
Okay.
53.
So yeah, he's a mature guy. He's not in his 30s now. You're going to find out, Boy Green. You're going to be a lot different in 20 years than you are right now. A lot different. You're going to see things in life differently. You're going to value certain things differently. I'll make a very quick analogy. I don't want to get off track here, but my quick analogy is fantasy football. Perfect example. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're playing for the chip tonight. I'll be thrilled if I win. You'll be ecstatic if you win. But of course I want to win, but I don't feel today that I value that championship as much as I would have valued it when I was your age. And
oh my God, I value it for everything. This is going to be devastating. I'm going to be on my deathbed if I lose.
And when I was 30, it would have been devastating for me too. I won't be if I lose. If I lose, it'll be heartbreaking. I mean, I'm not saying I'll be emotionless and just stare at the wall and go, oh, well, hey, say love you. Anyway, you got dinner, honey? Is dinner ready? Let's go. That probably won't be me, but I'm not losing sleep tonight. I'm not, I'm not waking up tomorrow morning like, oh man, I don't even want to do anything today. Like that will not happen. Probably when I was 30, it would have, because I was that crazy competitor. Life gives you perspective. You have kids. You hopefully you're in relationships. You go through struggles, as we all do. Okay.
Right.
Life is not perfect. And you come out on the other side wiser for it. So I'll use that comparison in life, because I think it is a just comparison between what I think AG is going through right now. Now he needs to come out on the other side correctly. Some people don't come out on the other side correctly. They come out on the other side and they're depressed. They're suicidal. They become unsuccessful. They stop competing in life. They take a job that is less than maybe they're capable of. They do things that degrade in some way the quality of their life. And you have to, as a human being, you have to take a little responsibility for that. What did I do to myself? What decisions did I make to either advance myself or to stall myself or even to put myself on a downward spiral? Or you come out the other side and man, I got to learn from this. They said no to me. You watch. I'm going to get the next yes I'm going to get. I'm going to do it so well. Those people are going to go, what in the world? We had a chance to hire that guy. Remember Bud? This is a great thing, folks. Great little side story. Bud Poliquin. Okay, we'll have our brunch with Bud as usual tomorrow. I'll talk to Bud about this. Remind me. Don't let me forget to talk to Bud about this story, because it's a great analogy to what we're talking about today. All right. But Bud's father, who grew up in Chicago. Bud grew up in Chicago as a youngster. His father lived in Chicago with him, with his mom and his family. And Bud's father belonged to this little social club. I don't remember what the name of the club, but let's just say it was the local American Legion or the local Knights of Columbus. Okay. All right. And he was in his, in a little bar there, a little social area, hanging out, having a beer. And this guy comes in who was also a member of the club. His name was Ray Kroc. Okay. If you don't know who Ray Kroc is, go look it up right now. Okay. Go Google Ray Kroc. Okay. Ray Kroc essentially is the genius of McDonald's. He is the guy that blew McDonald's up into the massive franchise that it is today. Ray Kroc was a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire, by the time I don't think he's with us anymore. But Ray Kroc.
He died in 1984.
84. Okay. Ray Kroc, great movie. The Founder. Michael Keaton plays Ray Kroc.
Oh, I've not seen that yet. I've
have to see
wanted
The
to see
Founder.
it.
Oh, you got to
okay.
see The Founder. Great movie. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll learn a little bit about the story of Ray Kroc in The Founder. Okay.
Cool.
So Ray Kroc becomes the head of McDonald's and,
Okay.
turns it into the McDonald's that we know today, the monster, the international monster that is McDonald's. Ray Kroc walked into this social club in Chicago.
The
where
same Ray Kroc.
Same Ray Kroc. Okay.
Okay.
He was a pal of Bud, whatever, Arthur Poliquin Sr.'s. I think Bud's father was Arthur also.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Arthur Poliquin Sr.'s buddy. He's a buddy,
Wow.
a social member, an American Legion member that he hung out with, had beers with.
Nice.
So he came in and he says, I got this great idea for a hamburger joint. I'm looking for investors. And Bud's father, essentially, this is Bud's telling the story. We'll get him to tell it again tomorrow. Basically said, fast food hamburgers? Get out of here. This is the dumbest idea I ever heard. Okay. And so, of course, he didn't invest. And if he had been, dare I say, one of those ground level investors in Ray Kroc's business, AKA McDonald's, who knows where Bud would be today? Who knows what his family would have, the millions that his family could have made, and so on and so forth. They might have changed the course of their lives. Okay. But Ray Kroc, that's the Bud Ray Kroc connection. Bud's father, Ray Kroc. All right. He turned Ray Kroc down for an investment in McDonald's before McDonald's was McDonald's. And he could have been on the ground floor of that. Oh my gosh.
The McDonald's Corporation right now is worth $219 billion.
I know. It's insanity, right? So God.
What could have been?
That's like, buying Apple stock when it was $1, and then blah, like some people did that and made, or Google, or you name it, one of the stocks of one of those tech companies that we knew nothing about, and now have become the monsters that so anyway, great little story about Bud's father. But again, it all goes back and relates to
AG
breaking through that wall in AG. And so AG is a young head coach. He's not young in years, which I think gives him an advantage as a human being. He has to take those things that he's learned in life and apply them very, very quickly to this head coaching situation with the Jets. And he has to get this thing turned around starting next year. And a big, big part of this, obviously, for the Jets will be that draft, will be these next 2 years of drafts and the picks that they made, because they have a ton of them. And will they choose wisely? So they're going to have to get on that. They're going to have to make that work. And then he's got to continue to, quote, change the culture, which I don't think, in my opinion, watching it from afar, he's been able to accomplish this year. Because when you get to the end of the year, you're 2 games from the end of the year. They have one more game to play. And you pick the game before the last in the post game to call out your team on effort. I think a wiser coach wouldn't have done that, even if they thought that was true. Yeah. They would have handled that behind closed doors and not had to retract the statements, as you said, as he did today, because he risks losing that locker room. You don't want to lose the locker room a game before the end of the season when you guys are already a disaster, this is not the time to risk it. So I think it was just an unwise choice by a coach who obviously, as any human being would be, we just talked about at the beginning of this whole story, how devastated you'll be if you lose fantasy tonight, and how I'll be sad, but not as devastated. Okay. So, he's you yesterday, right? He watched that debacle and he went like, that was garbage. That was trash. That was awful. And he's right, by the way. He's right. Anybody that watched that game would agree with him. Any Jet fan out there was like, what is this? This team is god awful. We didn't even compete with the Patriots. That was embarrassing, for lack of a better way of saying it. So AG was embarrassed. He was ticked, and he let loose at the wrong time. He's got to learn from that, because that's the way you lose the locker room. And AG loses the locker room, he will be done, whether Woody Johnson supports him or not. He'll be done in 2 years because the players are not going to play for him. Go ahead.
So let me throw one more, and then we could go in all these other different directions. The Bills, Eagles game. There's a lot of craziness. The Steelers losing to the Browns, and now that game, AFC North on the line with the number 1 seed on the line. So many great games in Week 18. Lurch, you're removed from this situation, relatively speaking. I don't mean removed like you don't have knowledge from it. I mean, you're removed. You're not a Jets fan. I'm a Jets fan. I'm in the weeds over here. And there are a lot of Jet fans who want Aaron Glenn's head on a pike. This is the 4th straight loss by 20 or more points. They have seen no sign from AG that he can be the guy to turn this thing around. There's a lot of people upset. And I was taking all kinds of calls this morning that he should be fired. And who cares about Woody Johnson's support? Woody, you gotta call an audible at the line of scrimmage based on this new information. Sure, middle of October you give him a vote of confidence, but okay. Have you seen any of the games recently? Come on, man, you got to fire him. That's what a lot of Jet fans say. I still say hang on. I don't want to fire Aaron Glenn. I don't want to do it, but I go to you based on everything we've seen thus far. When we get to Black Monday, are we going to be doing a breaking news show, or should we? of Aaron Glenn being fired from the Jets and them completely resetting, because a lot of the arguments based on people that called into my show said, if you don't believe AG's the guy, then rip off the Band-Aid now and just move on to your next guy. Don't waste another year, go into next year, and then he's bad, and then you fire him because you have 5 first-round picks, all this over $300 million cap space over the next 2 years. Like, you have all the assets now to attract whatever coach you're going to want with all of these assets. Rip the Band-Aid off now. Lurch, from your seat, should the Jets fire Aaron Glenn? Because a lot of people are calling for it.
No. The answer is no. It's not even a think for me. Here's the why. Okay. Unless it's a Ray Hanley situation, who else would maybe qualify here? To me, Joe Judge was off the rails right away. I'm just thinking of Giants guys because I follow the Giants so quickly. I could use other examples. Unless it's a situation like that where you just are like, oh my God, like everything that I'm seeing is sideways. Okay. I know the Jets are playing very bad football. And it feels that way to the fans. And I mean, come on, that stadium was half empty and mostly filled with Patriots fans. I mean, that's awful. And by the way, the Giants have been no better. Whoever the Giants have been playing, it's been more their fans in the stands, and the stands have been pretty empty too. So it doesn't even matter whether you're the Jets or the Giants. Both teams are the New Yorkers, which is the way New Yorkers are, by the way. When things are not going our way, we're not, even if we've spent our money already, we're not going. You know, we're just going to protest out loud. We're very, very loud that way, just like Philly fans. We have that kind of chip on our shoulder. So that's not unusual for the New York fan to go, yeah, no thanks. I'm not going today. I'm not going to go freeze my butt off to watch that garbage. All right. We're not like those crazy loyalists in Green Bay or other places where, like, it doesn't matter. We'll just go no matter what, because it's our team and we're, part owners and so on and so forth. So that's number one. But anyway, to go back to your question, the answer is no. And here's why it's still no for me. Number one, you gave him a 5-year contract. I mean, bailing a 5-year contract in a year, to me, is insane. If it goes this way again next year, after 2 years, you're going to have to give some serious consideration to walking away from the 3 more years of a contract that you got to pay a guy for because you believed in it. But I think with everything that's in front of him, all of these draft picks, and a real opportunity for this guy to put his own team together. Number two, he's not a young guy. Like, he's in his 50s. This is his first gig as a head guy. Okay. He's going to make mistakes. He has made mistakes. He's continuing to make mistakes, but he also has that extra thing that I think really makes him more attractive, that if he were successful as a Jets coach, the fans and the team would really love him because he's a Jet.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Jet through and through. And when you can make that work, what Syracuse was able to do with Jim Boeheim, okay, he's a good example. I don't think anybody in the NFL staying 40 years these days, but Jim Boeheim nearly 50 years as the head coach of the Syracuse Orange. He played here, all right, and then he was an assistant coach here, okay, and then he got hired as the head coach. It was like this beautiful transition, and then he was a legend, okay, and he can never be touched. That's a beautiful thing when that works out. So it's too early. And if you had asked me this question, you told me you were going to ask me this question in advance, Boy Green, I could have gone out and gotten you like 5, probably even 10 phenomenal examples of great coaches that even won championships that were awful in their first year. I'm pretty sure Jimmy Johnson was, okay? If you want to go look it up quick, Boy Green, that popped into my head right away. I'm pretty sure Chuck Noll was. Okay?
Yeah, Jimmy's first year was 1-15. That's
1-15. First year. Should they have fired Jimmy Johnson? Fire him. They stink. This guy knows nothing he's doing. The guy won them 2 championships, okay? He won them 2 titles, okay? He didn't stink. What happened? They traded Herschel Walker. They got a whole bunch of players. He picked the right guys. He set the culture. They turned into a big-time perennial winner, okay? So giving up on a guy, I know we're just this crazy, impulsive society today where it's just like a year and we want the heck out. And I know Glenn has done some dopey things and his team has played lousy. You can't. You have to give him at least 2 years these days. That's probably not even enough, but this is where we set our limits these days. Right. It's probably still too short, okay? But Jimmy Johnson is a great example. I think Chuck Noll, if you want to look that one up real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Chuck Noll's rookie year. There have been some phenomenal all-time great head coaches, guys that are Hall of Famers or will be Hall of Famers that stunk. Okay. Look at the start that Bill Belichick got off to in Cleveland. I mean, brutal, and arguably became one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game.
Compared 1-13
to Lombardi.
Chuck Noll.
Chuck Noll. 1-13. Fire him. He stinks. Fire him. I'm telling you, we can find 10 really good ones where you're going to be like, oh my God, if we had fired that guy. So no, it's just too early. unless you see, and maybe some Jets fans would disagree with me, they see gross incompetence here. When I saw Ray Handley coach the Giants, it was immediate, like, oh my Lord, this guy's lost. He's clueless. This is a disaster. Please stop this train from rolling down the tracks right now. I don't care what you have to pay him. Get him out the door. All right. And I saw some similar things with Joe Judge. How long did Judge stay in there? 2 years? I can't remember if they gave him
definitely 2
year.
years at least.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, that I saw that thing going sideways right away to what is this guy doing? All right. So there are some train wrecks.
Andy Reid was 5-11.
Yeah. I mean, again, it goes on and on. Like, you can't be too impulsive. You just have to at least stay the course for a little bit. They should, because we're not in that building every day, and ownership and other levels of management, GM Darren Muji, who seems to be a fairly well-respected GM.
Quite. Yeah.
If Muji were going to Woody's office every other day going, Glenn is clueless. Woody, I mean, holy, you should have seen this thing he did. You should have seen this thing he said in the tape room the other day. You should have seen this thing. That he made a suggestion. We should draft this player. This guy was like a number 560. Right. I wouldn't even draft this player. He wanted to draft him in the second round. Like, if there were insane things going on, Muji would be talking to Woody, and inevitably gross incompetence would get Aaron Glenn fired. I don't think any of that's happening. Okay. He's been dealt a bad deck. He hasn't done well with the cards that he's been dealt, arguably. He needs to get the right coaches around him too. Clearly, Steve Wilkes was not a good choice as defensive coordinator. He's got to look very carefully during this offseason at that staff and make sure that he's got the right pieces, because those pieces matter so much in today's game. Having the right OC, having the right DC, being able to trust those guys to do their jobs without you worrying about them because you're busy trying to be the CEO. So I just think Aaron Glenn has a lot of responsibility. But no, it's too early. You're always going to get that from me. I'm a continuity guy. So that was a bad question to ask me anyway, because I'm continuity.
Well, no, I wanted that answer because I thought
true,
that's what you were going to say.
True.
But there's just so much yelling going on in the streets right now. Fire Glenn,
I understand.
Fire Glenn. And I wanted your continuity. So no, I that's exactly the answer I wanted, because I think it's refreshing for Jet fans to hear that, because I see there's some Jet fans in our comment section right now that are all for giving Aaron Glenn more time, which is beautiful. But there's a lot of fans very angry. Maybe it's a minority, but very angrily yelling for Glenn to get tossed from the rafters. And I'm like, man, I just don't think so. 5-year deal. He's making between 10 and 12 million per year. We're talking 40, 50 million guaranteed. And I get it. Fans don't care about the money that billionaire owners spend, but I don't know. I don't know if 1 year, especially when they traded 2 of their best players at the deadline and they're playing with the worst quarterbacks of all time.
Right.
I don't know if that's a proper judging of AG. So no, I want to at least give him 1 more year. And hopefully the 1 year launches into all these other wonderful coaches we talked about. Rough start, immediately turns it around. So hopefully they'll be able to do that.
Look, this is a dumb comparison, but I'll make the comparison anyway. Okay, so we started this whole conversation talking a little bit about fantasy football, right? And our matchup tonight, and this thing getting wrapped up after tonight, right? And the champion being declared. Yeah. Before we went into that game last night, as we were saying, Boy Green and I were certainly in different mindsets. Okay, Boy Green was like, "Well, my team didn't kill it, but man, Lurch's team is pretty bad." Okay, I mean, Josh Jacobs went out there and gave him a 0.2, and and so gave him 5 points, and he lineup change over here. That didn't work out so well. Like, I took the risk of taking Tyler Warren out of my lineup. I
couldn't believe when I said, I'm like, what in the world?
On the fence on that thing forever. I pulled the trigger literally a minute to one. If I waited a minute longer, he would have been locked in. That's how close I was to making that change. I just decided to roll with Dylan Sampson. In hopes that he would do some things, because Warren's just been kind of dead with Phillip Rivers in there. It didn't turn out to be a huge difference, but
it's a 4-point difference.
It could be if this thing ends up close though.
Oh my God, could you believe that?
But whatever, you got to live with the decisions you make. But I shouldn't have done that. That was stupid. I'm pissed that I did it. But whatever, it is what it is. Okay, you just do these crazy things. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I had a different philosophy. But anyway, get to my point. All right, so we had different mindsets going into last night. Okay, I was. You're screaming Jet fans, okay? Get this guy out of here. He sucks, this team. Did you see that embarrassing garbage that they put out there against the Patriots? And last week, just as bad. And the week before, what the heck? What is wrong? These suck. Get this guy out of here. Hose him out now. Cut your losses. Let's find somebody who's competent. Because you're PO'd, right? You ticked. You're like, they did play lousy, and it did look awful, and it has looked awful. And there's no feeling of hope right now, okay? That's precisely the way I felt before that Monday Night Football game last night.
Sunday Night Football.
Sunday Night Football. He's got me. my team is, I'm rolling out these vagabonds. Oh my God. I'm really going to lean on Luther Burden tonight to give me a career night. Caleb Williams. All right. He shows up sometimes, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Niners, they're at home. This thing could be a low scoring game. It could be a slog. What are my chances here? So I was the same thing. I want to quit. Let me quit. I suck. My team sucks. Life sucks. Everything sucks. It's not fair. My team is so good and it's all hurt now. And I have to play all these scrubs. And look, I'm going to lose the championship because of all this stuff. I had all of those thoughts running through my mind. Just like these fans, you become neurotic. You become a nut. You're a prisoner of the moment. What just happened? I was just over here a day ago, and look at where I am now. It's a disaster. That's the way it was. And then Luther Burden and Caleb Williams show up in a game that scores over 75 points. Okay. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, how? What? And now I'm a different guy. I'm a jump on. I got spring in my feet. I'm like, let's go run around the track. Let's go, baby. I might win this thing tonight. Holy crow. Like, that's all you need. You just need that one thing, that one performance, that one guy, and then all of a sudden it all clicks, and sometimes, dare I say, there's a bit of luck involved,
So we need our Luther Burden is what you're saying.
Yeah, you just need your Luther Burden. You need a shot of Luther right there, right in the thigh. All right. But once you get that, then it all changes. And then Aaron Glenn becomes your champion. He becomes your hero. He becomes the guy who used to wear green that's now continuing to wear green and creating the tradition. I just think the hope there is too great to throw it away after a singular bad season. I mean, look, it's been bad. I'm not going to argue. These Jet fans are right. They're right to be mad. They're right to be everything that they are. But I want you Jet fans that are thinking this way to think of the other side. If it flips, if Luther Burden shows up, okay, and gets you the career night, and you win that big game, and then all of a sudden, bink, a switch goes off, and your team suddenly discovers, hey, we aren't that bad after all. All of a sudden it can flip. Look at what the Patriots have become. They stunk last year. And their quarterback has turned the corner, okay? And a couple other pieces have come in and they made a change in head coach and boom, snap, crackle, pop. That's not the norm. Mike Vrabel is a former head coach, a lot of experience. He knows the Patriot culture. There are a lot of reasons why this thing had accelerant on it, okay? The Jets they'll have a different story. It's probably not going to be one where you just throw lighter fluid on the flame and it just goes up. All right. But they have a chance in the next 2 years to throw a lot of lighter fluid on that flame. Okay. Because they're going to get a lot of early round players that if they choose wisely, they're going to have this young base that could really take them into the future. That's the world of hope that you need to live in if you're a Jets fan. So rather than get upset at the moment, because it does suck to lose to the Patriots that way, I agree with you. Okay. But rather than allow that suck to be the prevailing wind, and I understand it's a culture too, it's been going on for a long time, so it's even harder for the Jet fan. The fact of the matter is you have to try to lean into the hope. And I think there's more hope. There's more reason to be hopeful than there is to be in the morass, okay? As the great Lou Mannheim said to Charlie Sheen during the movie Wall Street, kid, you look into the abyss, nothing's staring back at you. It's at that point which you find your character. And that is what gets you out of the abyss. Okay? Go back. Watch the movie Wall Street, folks. That's it. The Jets are looking into the abyss, man. Nothing's staring back. They're going to figure out what their character is, and they got to hope that Aaron Glenn is part of that character that turns this thing around. I still got hope for the guy. I'm rooting for him. He's got to get at least one more full season before we can make any kind of decision as to what kind of coach he is as a head coach, period.
Hey, that's the Batman quote. The night is darkest before the dawn. So, it's beautiful. The one thing I would say, because we'll go to other topics, but, I think Jet fans are like, they got a toy for Christmas and the toy's broken. And they're like, wait, this wasn't supposed to be broken. And I see other kids opening up their gifts and those gifts look great. Liam Cohen, first-year head coach, Jacksonville, immediately turns around. They're an awesome team. Ben Johnson, first-year head coach, never done it before. The Bears just won the NFC North over the weekend. While they lost last night, that's disappointing. They're on this crazy run. So Mike Vrabel was a former coach of the year, goes to New England. He has great success. These other guys were first-year head coaches, just like Aaron Glenn. They had never done the HC position before. And boom, presto, like instant, it worked. So, Jet fans I know are a little bit in their fields like, why not us? Why is it happening to them, but why not us? So again, hopefully good things come to those who wait, and that's what we'll be hoping for.
And anybody in the NFL knows it starts with the quarterback.
Of
You
course.
have to find
All
the
those
quarterback.
places had
And the
quarterbacks,
Jets,
right.
like a lot of teams, and my Giants have been on this train for a long time too, and maybe are finally going to get off it. You have to find the quarterback. Then the rest of the pieces come into place. Okay. Chicago has a quarterback, and now
Caleb
he's got
Williams.
an offensive mind working with him who's helping him figure it out. And by the way, that guy, Caleb Williams, as much as he almost won that game last night, made some terrible mistakes in that game
Oh,
and threw
sure.
some god-awful passes.
Yeah.
Okay. As bad as that Josh Allen pass was at the end of that game for the 2-point conversion, Caleb had 3 or 4 of those in the game. All right. He's still learning. He's a young quarterback, but he's got a good offensive mind around him, and he's athletic, and you can see the skill set. So if they can just hone it, all of a sudden, the Bears already have something. They could really have something. Drake May, same situation. Now he's working with the coach. He already had showed some promise last year. Now that promise is coming to fruition.
Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville.
Trevor Lawrence,
yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're all starting to give up on Trevor. I thought this might be it, man. This at the middle of this year, I was like,
and now look at him.
And now look at him. He's riding high, and all of a sudden he looks like the number 1 draft pick all over again. Right play calling, right coach, right situation, right receivers. He's got a nice core of receivers on that team. I mean, all of a sudden things are in place now for Trevor Lawrence to have success. And what is he doing? He's having success. He's starting to believe in himself. This is a confidence game. The NFL is a confidence game. And it is very, very easy, even for number 1 overall draft picks, to have their confidence shaken at the NFL level. And it's how they pick themselves up and dust themselves off, and what that coach is feeding them every day. Are they feeding them encouragement? Are they feeding them the right things? Or are they feeding them the negativity that's going to eventually break the guy? And then he's just going to be trash. So that is the difference, I think, between a good coach and a bad coach. But I think the Jets need the QB plus the coach, and then it'll start to come together.
Yeah, and speaking of the confidence level, for instance, right, Buffalo now can't win the AFC East. The Patriots won it, so now they're playing from a wild card. But what's up in the air is what team they could face. Right now, they're scheduled to face New England, but there's a strong chance, according to the analytics, that they face Jacksonville in Jacksonville. If I'm Buffalo, I don't want any part of Jacksonville right now. They're playing out of their minds. I want absolutely nothing to do with it. So if I'm Buffalo and I get that matchup, I'm very nervous about going into Jacksonville.
Yeah, that could be trouble. That could be trouble. So anyway, by the way, today's broadcast is brought to you by our friends at, I think it's Play It Again today, right? Play It Again Sports. Down in Syracuse in the DeWitt in the DeWitt Town Plaza. Great guys. And again, you can bring in your used sporting goods to our friends at Play It Again and get money for them. You can also buy used sporting goods, gently used for essentially big savings instead of buying something brand new that you don't need brand new. Like, how about a baseball mitt that's already broken in? How about hockey pads that, you're going to get for a third of the price, because someone sweat in them at one point. Like, who cares? You're going to sweat in them next week anyway. It ain't going to matter. All right. So you can save yourself some serious money. They also have all the ski gear for all you Northerners here these days, with plenty of snow up here in good old central New York and beyond. So go see our friends at Play It Again Sports in the DeWitt Town Plaza. Let's just take 30 seconds, learn a little bit more about our friends Play It Again, and then we are back. More of the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. It's our Monday morning quarterback live show right here.
When you don't want to pay full price for sporting goods, and who does, then there's only one place to go in Syracuse. Play It Again Sports. With both new and gently used gear, Play It Again has prices way less than regular retail stores. Another unique aspect of this awesome sporting goods store is that they will give you money for that quality sports gear collecting dust in your basement, attic, or garage. No appointment necessary, just bring it into the store. Play It Again Sports in the DeWitt Town Center on Erie Boulevard, right next to Crunch Fitness. Don't spend more, play it again. PlayItAgainSportsSyracuse.com.
All right, we are back. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. Don't forget, we're still giving away free stuff for subscribers. So if you're not a subscriber, I see we got well over 200 people in the room right now. Subscribe right now. Just go to that subscribe area at MC Show Digital. It's youtube.com/@MC Show Digital. You want to go to that page and hit the big red subscribe on that page, and then you are officially a subscriber. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a dime, but what it will give you is the opportunity to win free stuff. We just gave away an autographed Slapshot Hanson Brothers photo that's on its way to our friend John Hepner, who won that over the break. Boy Green is getting ready to give away this program. Go ahead, Boy Green. Tell them all about it. Very cool. He's going full screen.
Yes, here it is. The 1972 official New York Jets yearbook cover. All Jet fans that are watching right now on Twitter, YouTube, or anywhere else, Joe Namath and John Riggins, a couple of Pro Football Hall of Famers, are here on the cover. If you're one of our first 450 subscribers, before the show today, we had 17 spots open, so that may have changed. I'll check that here in just a second. But here, We still have spots available if you want a chance to win this. It's in a plastic covering to keep it pristine. We'll ship that right to you. Again, it's free. We'll pay for shipping. If you're one of the first 450 subscribers to our channel, and again, the channel right here, you could be watching this in a lot of different places on YouTube or Twitter, may have popped in over from Facebook perhaps, but again, this YouTube channel specifically, youtube.com/@MC Show Digital. That's a way to do it. So make sure you guys take full advantage.
Yeah, 16 spots available.
Ooh, baby. Okay, here we go.
Before that program goes out the door, we still have the golf club still sitting right here in my corner.
Okay.
The golf driver from our friends that played again, that's going out at $500. When we reach that landmark, that's a $400 value that someone's going to get for free. And as I said, I'm working on a $475 little trinket. It could be those Anchorman bobbleheads. I'm contemplating whether I want to do that at $475 or not, but we will find a very cool item, and we will let you know about it as soon as we reach 450. So we only need 14 more subscribers to get to 450 subscribers. So let's get there quickly, give away that Jets program, and get on to other cool giveaways as we work our way up, growing our small community day by day by day. And thanks again to all of you who show up every day, who are part of our conversation, who get in the comments. It is fantastic. Let's take a minute, Boy Green, jump into some of the comments. There are a lot of little interesting things that were being thrown in there, from fantasy to you name it. Go ahead, buffet table there. Choose something wisely and throw it up. Let's have a little discussion about it.
Yes, Big Al says he thinks Max Crosby wants out of Vegas. Jay Glazer suggested such, saying that after all this hoopla, he could be on the move. There would be no shortage of people that'd be interested. Max Crosby's 28 right now. He will be 29 by the start of next season. He turns 29 in August. So Max Crosby would be a piece. He has been he's had at least 7 sacks in every season of his career. And this year, even after getting shut down for 2 games, he still has 10 sacks already on the year. 3 of his last 4 years are double-digit sacks. So Max Crosby could be on his way out. There could be more picks potentially coming there for the Raiders if they decide to hit the eject button from that perspective. I see we have Grove Pete in here. Grove Pete, thanks for commenting in on our YouTube channel here. I have no faith that they will get Mendoza. He's talking about the Jets, Fernando Mendoza. Glenn is the Rich Kotite era of Jets coaches, which is not the kind of territory you want to be in. I would say this, that the Jets are probably, again, you never know. So I don't want to give all these grandeur statements on December 29th, but, you know, the Raiders have the best odds again, the number 1 pick. The quarterback conversation, we will see it in a couple today's Monday. We're going to see it in a couple days. Fernando Mendoza versus Ty Simpson. That's the Indiana Alabama matchup in a couple of days. Dante Moore plays the night before. He's the Oregon kid. So what the Jets fans want in the audience is multiple quarterbacks entering this draft. Fernando's very likely going to enter this draft. Dante Moore, you want to enter this draft. Now, all of a sudden, then the Raiders have a choice. Dante Moore, Fernando. If it's just Fernando and everyone else, they get the quarterback, and then the Jets are like, geez, I guess no quarterback for me at this current stage of the offseason. So, personally, I prefer Fernando over Dante Moore, but there's a lot of really smart draft people. Mel Kiper, who's one of my favorite draft people in the business, has Dante Moore as his number 1 overall player on his board, regardless of position. And I value Mel Kiper. I know some people don't as much. So, give me multiple quarterbacks in this thing. But, Fernando would be a very interesting guy in Vegas. I'm not sure how that personality and the setting of Las Vegas marinate, but maybe it's a perfect guy out there for Vegas. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Huh. Big Al jumping in here saying, foolish decision by Buffalo, considering what was on the line. He's talking about that 2-point conversion. Bears may be for real. Again, I'll offer disagree on this one. I love the Dick McPherson mentality. I love the go for it now. I understand the other side of this one. Basically, Philly couldn't move the ball the entire second half.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And Buffalo had all the momentum. So why not just, here's one. Play the odds. Let's not forget Buffalo had just missed an extra point. Okay. So they wouldn't even been trying for that dopey 2 if they didn't get that dumb extra point blocked. They still don't have their regular kicker. They've been like the Giants, trying different guys. So they got an unstable situation there. And if they go for the extra point and miss it, now they lose. They lose the game. Okay. So instead of taking the chance to either tie it, which was the likely thing to happen, or even not tie it and have a real disaster by missing the extra point, they instead go for the jugular. And again, we can Monday morning quarterback this all day, but the fact of the matter is the guy was open. They had a great play. He came free. Everything was on the side. Their quarterback, who does everything for them, missed the pass. He
Yeah.
probably makes that pass 99 out of 100 times. It
Yeah.
was the 100th time. It just was like cha-ching. It was time for him to make a mistake, and he made one, and that's that. I just don't think he can cry over it. I think it was what the Bills should have done. I love the boldness of it. They were riding the momentum train, and they didn't want to just push the game. They wanted to just get it over with. And the reality is, okay, seeding, I suppose, is going to be affected here, but I don't see them passing New England. I know mathematically they could, but that means New England would have to lose next week. Who they
To the
playing again?
Dolphins.
Yeah, they're not losing to the Dolphins. Okay. So New England's
Probably
going to
not.
win. Okay.
Yeah.
So how important really is it? So why not just go for it? Like, why not just do it? Do it right then and there. Not put your players at risk for another overtime and all that kind of stuff. You got Josh Allen playing out there on a somewhat bad foot. You got to put him out there on the field longer, in the cold, all that stuff. Just go for it right there. One play, we win it. And they had the right play. They drew it up. I just don't know how you could second guess it. I love the move. I love the boldness. It never would have even come to pass if the dopey kicker hadn't gotten the first kick blocked anyway. So don't blame it on McDermott. Blame it on the kicker. He's the one that put him in that position where they had to make that decision. I think they made the right one, even though it didn't
Yeah,
work.
I'm completely with you, Lurch. I love the gall. McDermott's like, you know what? I'm one of the best football players on planet Earth in Josh Allen at quarterback. And you're telling me I'm 2 yards out from punching it in for 2 points to win this game with the ball in my hands right now. And I get it. The overtime rules have changed, basically the Josh Allen rule. Both teams get a possession now, even in the regular season. So Josh Allen would have guaranteed got another chance if they pushed to overtime. So I understand that. But, you know, you never go wrong when you bet on your guys. So Lurch, we keep going back to the fantasy thing. We're like a comedian going back to our punchline. He's going to live or die with what Bijan Robinson does. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the choice to pick, kick, or punt to overtime, but like just at hey, I'm going to ride or die my guy. The Bills, I'm going to ride or die with my guy, and he's going to either win or lose this game. And I think to your point, it seems very unlikely the Patriots are going to lose to the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins have been winning a bunch of games and have made some hay with Quinn Ewers, and good for them, but it's unlikely the Patriots would lose that game in that situation. So, you know what? I have no problem with going all in that situation.
Jamie says, hey, you play to win the game. So I agree. You play to win the games. Good one there from Jamie. Big Al back in, which says, don't worry, meaningless or not, or Giants not capable. Giants are not capable of beating the Cowboys regardless of the record. Probably true, Al. Probably true. Followed that up with a couple of laughing emojis. So thanks for that.
And here's what I'm battling, by the way, on that tanking thing. Because on one end, if the Giants win, they drop to like 7, which is terrible for you, but good for me because the Jets would move up to 2. So that brings us a little bit closer to either guarantee we get one of the 2 quarterbacks. If 2 quarterbacks come out, Fernando and Dante Moore, we're guaranteed to get one of them. They can't slip past us. If we're at 3, we'd have to strike some deal with the Giants, which is possible, but you know, like the Giants could decide to do business with another team and trade with somebody else. So we would control it there. So yeah, if the Giants can upset the Cowboys, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to be mad at it at all. That would be terrific.
Slam and Sammy Joe says the Giants beating the Cowboys would suck for both the fan bases. So I don't know. Make some sense of that for me. I'm not sure.
I guess because technically speaking, if somehow the strength of schedule thing is sort of above my head. I'm an idiot. I don't really, I generically understand it, but all the analytical nerds in the back of the room are the ones that can do it. So the Jets are not locked into the 3rd overall pick. It seems very likely, but there is a chance that strength of schedule can shake for all kinds of teams. So I guess that would be it. That if the Giants beat the Cowboys, that eliminates them from the number 1 overall pick. So it doesn't guarantee us a path to trade up to number 1 overall. Right. The Raiders could lock it in with the Giants win. So I understand tangentially what is being discussed here. So it's nice to have that option because if the Giants work their way back into number 1, me and Manchild, we're going to be trade partners. And I would say this because are the Jets and Giants both going to win and screw up their drafts? Probably not. So if it holds to what it is right now, Lurch, we're in for one of the most exciting off seasons of our history, and that's whether radio or digital. You and us both having top 2-3 picks. Now the good news is you guys have your quarterback, so it could be even more captivating if both of us didn't have our quarterback. But I'm sure you're glad to have your guy. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have months and months of speculation, and mock drafts are going to drop, and insiders joining us. So yeah, if it holds where we both hold top 3 picks, it's going to be fascinating here for the YouTube channel.
I mean, how many years in a row can we have the top non-quarterback position player and screw it up? All right. Like, hopefully we can't. Like, it appears that we did with Abdul Carter. We'll see. He is playing a little bit better football.
He is
the last couple of games, but I mean, he's He's not what I expected. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to get better, but is he going to be worth the number 3 overall pick? I don't see it unless he completely turns a corner, unless his work ethic like really kicks in, or a maturity factor that doesn't exist right now really kicks in. I think Abdul Carter is going to be a good player, but I don't think he's going to be a great player. We'll see. That's going to take some change. The guy was only a rookie this year. I'm going to give him a little bit of slack, but he was a very, very high draft pick.
Hey, Lurch, I don't know what your plans are this weekend, but Big
Al's
Al's
been offering me this to go down
Cowboys,
to the Giants game. Yeah.
Giants.
I mean, easy ticket, I'm sure. This would actually be a very reasonable ticket, probably.
Okay, Lurch, Sunday. I have it in front of me. What do you believe at this current moment in time the cheapest ticket to a Giants-Cowboys game is right now in this moment of time? And this is from ESPN.
Okay.
They're telling me tickets as low as insert amount of money.
Okay. $45?
$27.
Wow.
And that's now. Imagine we get closer. I imagine they're only cheaper, probably, because it's not going to sell out. So $27 right now, according to ESPN, is the lowest ticket for the Giants Cowboys game.
Think about it, Al. You know, I don't know what Sunday looks like for me, but fantasy's over. What else the heck?
Yeah, let me see. What is that? Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, 1 o'clock game. Yeah.
So 1 o'clock. So be if you do that day of the games, it'd be an early leave. That's for sure.
Yeah, it would have to be right. Just circle all the way back around. Right?
I think the big thing might be weather. You know, that's always
what's weather?
Got to take a look at what the heck's going on, man. Central New York, folks. In case you don't know. Storms are just blowing through here every couple of days. So, it's not so easy to get in and out of Dodge sometimes when a storm's coming in.
Just partly cloudy and it's a 29-degree set for kickoff.
Okay.
So a bit
not
brisk.
Too cold, a little brisk, but not terrible.
Yeah.
And what about Saturday? Can you look at Saturday too? Because Saturday will determine Friday. So, determine Sunday.
Point.
So is snow expected on Saturday, or is Saturday a relatively quiet game? If it's a quiet Saturday plus a 29-degree and no snow expected Sunday, that might be doable.
Okay, you could potentially be interested. Okay, so it looks like we have it here. Saturday, it's no snow, partly sunny. There you go, 34-degree high. So no snow on the forecast.
All right, weather-wise, it's an open door. All right, Al, we might have to discuss
possible.
That's a possibility. You know, man, that wouldn't be the worst thing. Al's a diehard Jets fan. Cowboys fan. So I'd have to go to a Giants game with the Cowboy guy, rooting for his team, probably.
Although
I don't think if I got in the building that I would root for his team. I don't think I would do that.
Right. You would have to flip it,
even
just for the specter, even if you don't believe it's true.
There's no way I could sit in that building and be like, "Go Cowboys!"
Or wear Cowboys gear
on my couch, right? And I'm not wearing Cowboys gear, so
of course not.
I did that once in my life. Hope to never do that again. So. At last year's draft for crying out loud.
Good. Well, he's doing a whole weekend. Big Al says he's going to the Knicks-Hawks game on Friday night. How's the view from section 119? So it sounds like a whole New York City trip down there.
Jeez, man, I was just down. Al's trying to drag me back.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I was talking to my son while I was down there because we're both Knicks fans about getting back into the Garden because it's been a long time since I've been in the Garden.
Right.
Too long.
When was the last time you were in the Garden?
I can't even tell you. It's that long ago. Like I can't even tell you the game, the year. It's just been a long.
Was it this century?
Possibly not. I mean, it's possible that it's not.
Okay. It was in the 90s. Okay. All right. Wow.
I mean, again, I was there every 3 days a week, man.
Right. Yeah. Well, right. Yeah.
You know, for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, then while I was still down, I was going intermittently. Once I got up here to Syracuse and Central New York, I made a couple of odd trips the first few years, but that's about it. Yeah, it might have been it's possible maybe early 2000s.
Okay.
It's possible that I got down for a game somewhere in the very early 2000s. Definitely between
maybe
2000
not. So it's been at least 20 years.
At least 20 years. At least 20 years. Okay. The Garden's been completely refurbished. It's been completely. My brother, who's an electrician, was installing, TVs and electrical, stuff at the Garden when they were doing that 3-phase rejuvenation of the garden. So he was actually in there doing work because he worked for a Local 3, which is the big electricians union down in New York City. So he worked on a lot of that stuff in the garden
That's
while it was being
cool.
renovated.
Wow.
He would call me from the garden and like FaceTime with me, be like, yeah, I'm putting in this TV. I'm right by
Oh.
section. I'm like, hey, go to my old seats, man. Section 210.
Oh,
Go
that's
sit in my
awesome.
seat. Go sit in my seat.
Yeah.
Take a picture. So I remember my exact seats. I had the same seats for 7 years as a Knicks season ticket holder. So yeah, it'd be a nice warm fuzzy going back into that building after a long time. It's kind of crazy. Look, I've gotten into Manhattan a few times now. That's been fantastic. The more I go into Manhattan, and I went down again during this trip, I went to the Seinfeld show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The more I go into Manhattan, the more I want to go back again and go back. It's I'm
Sure.
learning more and more. I'm getting more and more accustomed to being there. And just the New York City is an incredible place in terms of things that are available to you. Just everything from the tourist to the niche. It's really the ultimate eclectic experiment. It's phenomenal. So there's almost nothing you can't find in New York City. Whether it's great food of any kind, great views of any kind, great entertainment of any kind. You've got major sports teams, major stadiums, major concerts. That New York has everything. It's just dealing with the craziness. It's just insane.
Yeah.
So crowded. But other than that,
let's see. Big Al says, didn't the Indianapolis owner love Mel Kiper? It was actually the Indianapolis Colts general manager, Bill Tobin, for those. And Bill Tobin recently passed away. So, thoughts and love are sent out to Tobin. But yes, that was on the draft night back in 1994. Where Tobin was interviewed by like a local Colts beat reporter. They said, there was some criticism of like the draft pick you made. And he was like, yeah, I read this Mel Kiper guy, didn't love my draft. And he says, who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway? And then he said basically that he has the same football expertise as my postman who delivers my mail, and went on an epic rant. So yeah, that was a good one. And no, the Jets own the Cowboys' second round pick, Big Al. Their second round pick next year in 2027. They own whatever is the better first round pick between the Cowboys or the Green Bay Packers. So we won't know that until the results of the 2027 season. So that's down
what do the
line.
Jets? What do the Jets have at the top of the draft this coming year? They've got at least one extra, right? So give us the quick laydown.
So here's what the Jets have. They have 4 picks inside the top 50 of this upcoming draft in 2026. They have their own first round pick, which is currently 3rd overall. They have the Colts pick, which is currently 18th overall, but it has a chance to be top 15.
Colts they're losing, it keeps falling. It's
100%
or going up, I should say.
Yeah, right. So they have that first round pick. They have their own second round pick, which is in the early 30s at this point. They have the Cowboys second round pick of this year's draft. The Cowboys were already eliminated from the playoffs, so it's at least top 50, but it can be better if the Cowboys lose more games. So there's one more game left to play. So long story short, Jets have 4 top 50 picks this year, which is great opportunity to either trade up for a quarterback or stick and pick. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of needs they have that they could add to that pile. And then in the following year's draft in 2027, they have 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick. So that'll be 4 more top 50 picks. So, yeah, they've got a lot of assets. They just got to get them right.
Mamma mia. Quickly through the games, BG. I'm just going to rapid fire through them. Let's do a comment on 2 on each game if we have it. If not, it could just be a mute point.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go all the way back to the Saturday games. All right. So Houston takes down the Chargers 20-16. Comment on that game. Go ahead.
Texans were kicking their butt. Chargers made an epic rally. The Texans are a team to fear in the playoffs. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Lone Wolf on PFF on that game on the Chargers did not get it, so we were good.
Nice. Yeah, screw PFF.
I had a miserable weekend to pick, so I don't even want to talk about the picks, but it was one of the few I got right. The Ravens destroying the Packers. Wow. Snoop Huntley getting it done in the wake of Lamar not being in the lineup and looking pretty good, actually.
Stunning. And then obviously this would preface what's going to happen on Sunday, but the Ravens had to win and they needed the Browns to upset the Steelers for their season to remain alive. And
it happened.
Spoiler alert, they got everything they needed. So yeah, what a spectacle. I was tuned into that game for the Josh Jacobs angle. Please, Josh Jacobs, don't do anything. So I was watching that game very intently for fantasy reasons. But give massive credit to Harbaugh, who's come under fire, and the whole Ravens situation. Derrick Henry, king me. He breaks all kinds of histories. Top 10 all time on the NFL rushing list. He moved into the top 5 for touchdowns. Spectacular King Henry performance.
Unbelievable. And so we're going to see two Titanic win and you're in, lose and you're out games next week. One will be the Steelers and the Ravens. The other one will be Carolina and Tampa Bay. We'll get to that result in just a little bit. But unbelievable. We're going to get these two, in or out games. Fantastic after losses by teams this week, although the Ravens took advantage by getting that win. Cincinnati destroys Arizona 37-14. I don't know if there's any surprises in that one. If you want to offer a comment, go ahead.
The only quick comment is this. Matt Lombardo, our NFL insider, has become famous on a week-to-week basis of putting up that the Cardinals are not a serious football team. He went against his own rule. He picked the Cardinals this past week because I was adding up all the picks to do all our updates before Monday Night Football, and Matt picked the Cardinals. So he's going to be kicking himself for making that error. Matt had a rough week himself. So, he's going to regret that.
All right, fair enough. Seattle takes down Carolina. I mean, Sam Darnold was coughing it up like no tomorrow, but it didn't matter. They still won 27-10.
Yeah, I thought Carolina at home again. That was a juicy line that I love. 7-point underdog at home. I thought that they would be able to keep it competitive, and they did for a while. It was 3-3 for a long time, and then Seattle pulled away at the end. So disappointing, but hey, everything's still in front of Carolina as we will discuss.
Big day for Zach Charbonnet in that one, who was getting all the
on
touchdowns.
my fantasy bench.
Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Deciding between that every week is like 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. That could have led you to a championship crown. That's the problem, having all these good guys on your. At least I didn't have any choices. It was a slim pickings, man. It was bad or worse. You were picking between good and good.
Which is worse, picking the wrong guys or
Yeah.
just picking any guy?
Any guy.
There
you go. Crazy world. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Cleveland ends up winning it 13-6. What an effort by the Browns, man. And the Steelers could not get anything done. Aaron Rodgers looking like the old man that he is in that game. My goodness.
Yeah, a fun game that came down to the end, right? Aaron Rodgers had multiple chances from whatever the 5-yard line of throwing it. Now, personally, I would have gone after Denzel Ward, one of the top corners in football, but hey, different strokes. And again, that's what the Jets needed to rise up in the draft. I was a massive Browns fan. I picked it in our NFL pick segment, so I was absolutely rooting for that. And man, that sets up for a great game in Week 18, Lurch. Without the Browns, Steelers win the AFC North and it's over, and it doesn't matter. So now we get drama. So thank you, Cleveland.
BG, you went for 3 lone wolves in our picks on Friday. That means 3 that you were the only one on that team, and Cleveland was one of them. You cashed in on it. You went 2 out of 3. I'll tell you the one you lost on. I think but we'll get to it in just a little bit. New Orleans and Tennessee. I was lone wolf in the Texans. I almost got it. The Titans, excuse me. Yeah. I almost got it. New Orleans ends up pulling it out though, 34-26. Has New Orleans found their quarterback in Tyler Shug?
You asked the question, which was my comment. The Saints have found their guy in Tyler Shuck. It was cool.
I never get that guy's name right.
It's
anything like it's said.
It's not. It's SHOUGH. So it looks like show or shaw. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Right.
All right. That'll be the remember here.
Yeah. The Jets and Saints just played a couple of weeks ago, and the Jets got blown out. But the important or the notable thing is that I know someone in the New Orleans Saints front office, and he texted me out of the blue leading up to Jets Saints week because he just thought of me, I guess, because of the Jets. And he was texting me, and we were going back and forth about family stuff. And I just said, man, it seems like you guys really have something in Chuck. And we were talking about the development, the quarterback developmental plan of why they purposely basically didn't put him out there, and they wanted him to wait for his opportunity. And when the opportunity hit, they thought he was going to kill it. And obviously they were right. So shout out to the Saints. So they found their guy.
All right. So it looks like Saints are not looking for a quarterback anymore. Miami Dolphins surprised Tampa Bay. Man, I was going to jump on that one. I don't know why. Just had a weird feeling about it. But I went with Baker and company. Baker had a miserable day. Miami wins 20-17. Ooh, and that lines it up for the Carolina, Tampa Bay, big finale, winner in, loser out. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, stunning is the one word because, again, with Tampa having everything on the line, Miami having nothing on the line, for them to lose that is embarrassing. But yeah, we were all on one side, and every once in a while, right, everyone in the room is sort of tempted, right? We're all picked the Bucks. I'm like, do I just flip to the Dolphins? Why not?
Quinn Ewers, you're going with Quinn Ewers.
Well, that's why I didn't. So I did. That's the obvious reason I didn't. But I thought about it, but I'm like, I can't do that. And we tried to peer pressure each other to see who was going to potentially bite on that. But shout out to the Dolphins. Maybe they stumbled into a franchise quarterback in the 7th round, Quinn Ewers. Wow, unbelievable.
No, I wouldn't put my money on that, but
Yeah, that's my
he had a decent game yesterday against Tampa Bay, so that was pretty good. Game that we were all looking forward to: Jacksonville and Indianapolis. Old man Rivers kept them in it a long, long, long time, but Jacksonville does end up pulling it out, 23-17. They did not cover the spread, which was 6.5, dastardly spread by Vegas, but Jacksonville, more importantly, gets the win.
Yeah, thank you. I picked Indy, and I had all these stats on how Indy is kept in it or
You
one
did.
game. So booyah, baby. So I appreciate Old Man Rivers helping me with that one for my picks as well. Terrific. It was more game than I think a lot of people thought, but this goes to show you why normally you're about to highlight why this is not the case. But normally, division rivals, you throw the records out the door. Hey, these are two opponents that know each other really well. And Jacksonville had to fight for this one. They're fighting for positioning, maybe the number one seed in the AFC and everything that's on the line here on that side. So, yeah, wow. Nice win there. Very gritty win for Jacksonville.
All right, so Jacksonville gets it done. New England takes down the Jets 42-10. Boy Green, you lone wolf the Jets. You had New England and reversed course after you saw you could get the lone wolf. That was not a wise choice, even though the spread was 13.5. The Jets obviously do not cover.
No, the Jets were down 35-3 in the first half. It was ugly, and I have not picked against the Jets all season long. So we'll see, because there's a game tonight for our picks, right? I was in the lead on picks heading into this week. So depending on what that looks like heading into week 18, I haven't picked against the Jets all year. If I was ever going to pick against them in Buffalo in their final game in that building, that might be a time to do it. But what do I do? Do I do what's gotten me here to this point? Do I potentially pick against my own team? I don't wait, Lurch, you refresh my memory. So you've won the picks like every year in existence. Joe Bartle won it one of those years. Have I ever won it?
Yes, you have won it once.
Okay, so I won it once, but now it's so fleeting. It barely happened. I can barely remember it. So I have a chance to double up my history, which is terrific. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. But wow, what a beat! Embarrassing. You use that word. You used that word and said, for lack of a better word. There's no lack of a better word. That's a perfect word. Embarrassing. It was the Jets got ran out of the building. It was pathetic, and I feel terrible for anyone that was in attendance for that game. There were several. I was almost in attendance. My in-laws stayed through the morning, early afternoon, so I ended up not going to the game, but I had an opportunity to have tickets to go to the game for free, and that would have been great, but I didn't go. And now, seeing the result, I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't go. Can you imagine? Oh, Jesus.
Eesh, mama. In equally embarrassing fashion, the fight for the number one overall pick goes to Vegas, 34-10. My G-men show up, got an early lead, had it at the half. This didn't look like it was ever going to be competitive at all. Vegas not really given much of an effort in that one. If Pete Carroll was ever going to come out and talk about his team lack of effort, maybe that should be the game where maybe he should talk about it a little bit. I mean, that looked like Vegas halfway trying here, and they were decimated by the Giants, 34-10.
I can't remember, Lurch, if it was you or Matt Lombardo or Don't Wasserman maybe, but one of you guys said like 3 or 4 weeks ago, if we remove record, the worst team in football is by far the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
And that held serve here. I know that the Raiders made it somewhat competitive when they're driving down the field and then threw that bad pick and the Giants nearly returned it to the house, and Ashton Genty had some moments, but like it just seemed very obvious that the Raiders are trying to lose all these games, and the Raiders players took offense to that in the locker room, saying, no, we fight for the name on our back and the logo and blue. Shut up. So let's see how they perform against the Chiefs. But yeah, that was an embarrassing tank job, those bastards.
The game that came down to the 2-point conversion, we've talked all about it. Buffalo and Philadelphia. Amazing. This game to me, aside from the drama at the end, you talk about a tale of two halves. The Bills stunk on offense in the first half. They couldn't do anything, and their defense, kept them in it, but Philadelphia did enough to walk into the half with a 13-0 lead. All right. Second half, Philadelphia goes in the tank offensively. They could barely move the ball. I think they had like less than 30 yards of total offense or something in the second half. All right. And Buffalo starts getting it going, albeit it was tough. Buffalo has been a second half team, by the way, this year, and has had a lot of comeback victories. And then, of course, they go for the 2-point conversion. Final, Philadelphia 13, Buffalo 12. Boy Green, I said it was pathetic that you got a lone wolf on this game when we picked it. I never should have allowed it. You get a lone wolf on that one. Even if they made the 2-point conversion, the spread was 1.5. You would have covered. You would have gotten the cover, for crying out loud, with Philadelphia. So you must be doing a little glorious tap dance about that win. Philly wins 13-12.
That was hilarious. That of what you just said, as the extra point is missed, I'm like, you know what? Even if the Bills come back in this and just ballsy say, I'm going for 2, I win. I either win because they won straight up or they cover on that dastardly 1.5. So I said, well, this is freaking phenomenal. And I said it in the moment in the picks. I'm like, this is a toss-up game. We all thought, talking on the show, that Buffalo was going to win, and that seemed very possible. But it's also possible the Eagles win. The Eagles are friggin' good. So if you guys are going to give this to me, sure, I'm going to do the old flip ski and jump over to the Eagles. And so, yeah, I felt really good about that one. Thank you very much.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you one thing coming out of this game for me. I already thought it kind of going in, but now it is lock, stock, and barrel. I do not care what the records say. The Philadelphia Eagles are not winning the NFC, and they are not winning another Super Bowl this year. No chance.
Let me ask you a question.
I don't care that they beat the Bills. I understand they just beat the Bills. Why should I even be saying that? Just beat a
Buffalo,
team that I think actually could win the AFC. We can get into that conversation if you want, maybe on Wednesday's show. All right. I still believe the Bills could actually win the whole AFC side of it. The Eagles prove to me time and time again the amount of incompetence offensively that they have. It's pathetic. They just don't have enough offense, in my opinion, to win another championship this year. Or, in fact, I don't even think to win the NFC.
Okay, let me ask you this, Lurch. Do you believe, you just said all your things, but I'm going to take it to another level. Do you believe the Eagles go one and done and don't win a playoff game this year? Here is who they are scheduled to face.
Tell me who they're scheduled to face. That's what matters here.
Okay. The Eagles would host the San Francisco 49ers if the playoffs started today. It'd be a 3-6 matchup. That's what would happen. Now there's a chance the other wild card Rams are probably locked. Well, the Rams are locked into a wild card because of the division no longer being attainable. It's up to the 49ers and Seahawks now. So they can't play the Rams, but they could play the 49ers or the Packers. So are the Eagles one and done in the postseason? Do they just lose in their first playoff opportunity?
I think it's quite possible.
Okay.
The thing that scares me about San Francisco is their magnificent offensive, but their defense, as we saw last night, is pathetic. I mean, their defense is awful. So they would have to outscore them. But, yeah, I would still take San Fran in that game. So if it's San Fran, yes. If it's Green Bay, I don't know.
We don't know the health of Malik Willis or Jordan Love or Josh Jacobs.
If it's Green Bay, then Philly's going to get a win. But Philly's not. I don't think Philly's beating the Rams.
All right.
To be honest with you, because of Darnold, Philly could beat Seattle. I know everybody likes Seattle right now, but the more I watch Seattle and the more I see of Sam Darnold, the more I'm like, there's no way in the moment he's gonna do it. He's that guy. He turned it over a ton yesterday. They should have lost.
Yeah.
I mean, the other team just didn't bring it when they needed to. They're not. Seattle's not winning either.
But this is crazy.
So lucky.
For the second straight year, Sam Darnold is playing for the number 1 seed on the line. He did it when he was on the Vikings. He's doing it on the Seahawks. If they win week 18, they get the number 1 seed in the NFC, first round bye, and all that comes with it. If they lose, the 49ers are the number 1 seed, and the Seahawks are in the wild card round on the road. So their future and what's going to happen for 2 years in a row are up in the air. So we'll see there on Seattle.
And they got the big game. Who do they play? It's a good game they have next week.
49ers.
Yeah, they're playing the 49ers. Okay, so that's all going to be decided.
The winner gets the number 1 seed.
So now we get 3 games that have intense meanings. 2, winning you're in, losing you're out. And this one, number 1 seed. Number 1 seed if you win, wild card, and a road game if you lose. Wow. Tough. A lot of stakes on the line. That's going to be great. I don't think Darnold will be up to the moment for that, Boy Green. Their defense,
so you think they lose? Interesting.
I'm not saying they lose, but I'm saying I don't think Darnold will be up to the moment, which means this. The Seattle defense would have to win them that game. And I don't know that the Seattle defense can win them that game against San Francisco because San Francisco is so brilliant offensively that even if you have a good defense, they're just so hard to stop. As long as McCaffrey's healthy. Now, he got a little nicked up in that game.
He did. Yeah, he was doing a weird flexor. Yeah,
McCaffrey's not in there. All bets are off for San Francisco. That guy is – they have a lot of good players, but he is absolutely the
100%.
He is maybe more important than Purdy. He cannot
magnificent.
He cannot miss time. He does everything. He does everything for that team. He's insane. He is playing at an unbelievable level.
He's about
running
to
back in football. Period.
Let me see here. I don't know if it was official yesterday. You said he blew up yesterday, so let me just see what he finished up with statistically. because he is on the verge. I have it in front of me here. So Chris McCaffrey ran for $140. That was terrific. And then receiving 41. Okay, so he's not there on receiving yet, but he is set to become in week 18, as long as he's healthy, the first player in NFL history to do this thing twice. Run for 1,000 yards and have over 1,000 yards receiving in a single season. He did it once with Carolina on a terrible Carolina team.
Yeah.
Now he's a chance to do it on a really good team, San Francisco. He'll be the first player in NFL history to do it twice. So unbelievable.
He's a machine. I mean,
Man.
the things he can do on a football field, it's remarkable. He is great, and he is in the perfect scheme with the perfect coach and the perfect quarterback. It just works. They are
for sure.
Very, very well-oiled engine. It is too bad that their defense is horrible, because that defense could give it up to anybody. I mean, I know the Bears are pretty decent, but that defense is going to give it up. Salah, he's got his work cut out for him. He's the DC there now in San Fran. I mean, oh boy, he just doesn't have the players. I don't think it's on him. Yeah. He just doesn't have the players. That defense is a wreck. And then finally, the San Francisco-Chicago game. San Francisco 42, Chicago 38. They said we've never seen this. I don't know in how many years or if it ever happened.
Yeah, Tirico said it.
7-7. 14-14, 21-21, 28-28, 35-35 before finally a field goal was kicked, right? And then it broke the string. So it was touchdown,
right.
Matching touchdown, matching touchdown, touchdown, matching touchdown, 5 straight times, okay, before finally the trend was broken. So, wow, that was
cool stat. That
was like 2 fighters. Bang! I got you. Boom! He's down. No, he's down. I mean, that was 2 boxers just throwing heavyweight blows, big plays, running plays, passing plays, dipsy doos. Man, that was a very entertaining football game, to say the least.
Yeah, and it looks like we could get that in a future playoff matchup. We'll have to see how the bracket breaks up, because right now the Bears are the 2 seed, 49ers are 6, so they wouldn't be set to play. But we'd have to see how the bracket plays out. There's so much still up in the air. But I'd love to, the comment. I'd love to see a rematch. It was friggin' spectacular,
phenomenal.
And again, I know lack of defense. So some in the audience will be like, "Hey, more points does not mean better game." But come on, we're here in 2025. Points definitely are sexy and it's fun. Touchdowns, and we did see a little bit of defense. I mean, Brock Purdy's first pass of the game got deflected up in the air and intercepted by the Chicago Bears, who took it back to the house. So, yeah, a little more defense would be great, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was historic.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, I don't see Philly winning the NFC.
Yeah.
Frisco maybe, but that defense scares the heck out of me. I think Chicago has more than a puncher's chance, but I don't know if Caleb is up for it either. I just don't. I'm not in love with Darnold. I think it's to me. If I had to pick one team, it's the Rams. If the Rams have Devontae to win the NFC,
okay.
If the Rams have Devontae, then they are complete offensively. He makes a big difference for them. If they have Devontae, assuming Nakua, of course, is healthy too, which is always a question mark with that guy. But if they have Devontae and Nakua, they have the defense that can get the stops when they need it, plus they have the offensive machine. They are San Francisco with the defense, assuming those players are in play. But if they're missing Devontae or missing one of those key guys, then they're not quite the same team, and they can be had, all right? But it just feels like this is Matt Stafford's year. I don't know why. He's already won a championship with the Rams, but it feels to me like it's his year. It's his year probably to win the MVP, and I think it's his year to make a deep, deep run. Now, whether they win the Super Bowl or not, that always depends on your opponent. But I think they are more than capable, if they have the full arsenal, to win the NFC, because everyone else is flawed. Seattle's flawed with Darnold, and sometimes they just don't get it done and they turn it over too much. San Francisco has that terrible defense that just can give it up. Philly's flawed like there's no tomorrow. I mean, they have a great defense, a great personnel, but that offense is so flawed. What Hurts can and can't do is becoming more and more exposed every day. There just are things that I just keep seeing every time I see him play. And Chicago's just young. Chicago's got a lot of pieces, but they're just young. And they are struggling with health as well. So.
And the other team is the Bucks or Panthers, and I'd take neither of them seriously.
Yeah, you can't take those.
So,
you can't take those.
I know one of you has to be in the playoffs, but yeah. So no, if you evaluate everything you just said, and the Jordan Love injury and their inconsistencies, no Micah Parsons, who just had ACL surgery. By the way, breaking news. He just shared that on social media. He finally underwent that. So you look at the Rams are clearly the cream of the crop in the NFC. I don't think it's close.
And in the AFC, I mean, you look at the other side of the docket. I mean, obviously New England has the terrific record, but do you trust
Sure.
them? I actually think I trust Buffalo more than New England in that division.
Really?
To go
Wow.
deeper
Okay.
and to have a deeper run. I trust Josh Allen. I think that Buffalo defense is actually starting to show a bit, and I think we saw some of it yesterday against Philly. I certainly don't trust anything in the AFC North. The Jacksonville Jaguars are arguably the hottest team
Sure.
right now. They've won 7 in a row. Actually, the Houston Texans have won 8. So if you really want to talk about by the
And
number,
Denver
Houston is
was
actually
really
higher.
hot outside of their
In
loss.
Denver until they
Terribly.
lost,
Yeah,
right?
right,
We're red hot. But I don't know. It feels like Jacksonville is the hot team right now.
Yeah.
Houston is the hot defense right now, but I don't think they have enough on the other side of the ball probably to win the whole thing.
And the
Denver's
Chargers are a
just-
joke. I think they're done.
The Chargers are just too banged up. They don't. I mean, they're well coached and but
no
they're just,
tackles.
Yeah, it's just not good. Yeah, when you're missing those kind of pieces, it's hard to win. And I don't know. While I do trust Peyton, I just don't trust Knicks, and I don't trust this Denver team. The receiving core doesn't do anything for me. They don't excite me. I just think they play it too close to the vest. I just don't think you can win that way. Although if they get home field, that'll be a tough place to play through because of the altitude and the chance of bad weather and all that kind of stuff. But the Bills would thrive in that environment if they went out there, and I think they could take them down. So I think there are a couple of teams that could take them down in that weather. Houston and their defense could stand up in that weather potentially and get it done. So I don't know. I'm not a Denver guy either. So I think the AFC for me, I'm kind of leaning either Buffalo or Jacksonville, believe it or not. I shouldn't probably disrespect New England that way, but I don't think it's their time yet. I don't think that that May's ready for that stage yet, or that he's ready to be unleashed. I still think if you watch New England, as good as he is, there's still a conservativeness to what they do. Allen just lets it fly. And it feels like with Jacksonville right now, they're letting, Trevor be Trevor. And I like that. And I think with the other teams, it's like, we're trying to keep it tight. Bo Nix, we got to contain him and keep him under control. I think even with Drake May, it's the same thing. They're just trying to be too fine, and they're not just playing. And I like that the other two teams play. So I like those other two teams potentially to get there. One of those two.
Yeah, I would just say the thing I like is the freshness. The 2 number 1 seeds in the respective conferences last year are out. They're not in. Lions, Chiefs, not in the playoffs at all. So we have 14 teams, 7 on one side, 7 on the other, vying for it. And
it's going to be a great playoff.
Because I'm looking at the AFC playoff picture right now. Broncos, Patriots, Jaguars, Ravens, Texans, Bills, Chargers, Steelers could usurp the Ravens. Depends on what's going to happen. One of these teams is going to be in the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks or months, however you want to phrase it, weeks coming up here. Like one of these teams that are in front of me, one of these 8 teams are going to be in the Super Bowl. But I have no idea who. I'm looking at each one and trying to close my eyes and visualize it. I don't see it, but someone's going to be. I'm going to be huddled around the family, wings and pizza, going, oh, wow, the Texans or the Ravens or the Jaguars or whoever the hell. I mean, it's going to be a crazy playoff run. I can't wait.
Al wants to talk about going to a football game. Al, I got a proposition for you, although you're already going to be in New York apparently seeing the Knicks, so it makes a lot of sense for you to jump over to the Meadowlands. But I think one of the things that I was actually thinking about as this played out yesterday was making a trip to Pittsburgh. That game is in Pittsburgh and the Ravens.
Oh, my goodness. Sunday Night Football.
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, come on. Sunday night in Pittsburgh.
Playoffs on the line?
Playoffs in that building. Like, you want to talk about an environment. You want to talk about a fun place to be with all those crazy Steeler fans. I mean, probably Aaron Rodgers' last hurrah, at least
probably
in the regular season game. I mean, they win. They'll, obviously he'll play at least one playoff game. But I don't know. There's a lot of nostalgia in that, and they're playing their arch nemesis. That has been an unbelievable rivalry for many years.
Okay,
is Lamar even possible to play in that game? What's Lamar's status?
Yes.
Okay, they haven't put him on IR, so he's just hurt at the moment. Okay.
Right, he just had a back injury, so we'll see what happens. So Lurch, I'll give you a chance here. Okay, so we just did that thing like, oh, Giants Cowboys, what's the cheapest ticket available? This will be the final game. There's no Monday Night Football because they're getting ready for the Super Wild Card Weekend. So no Monday Night Football. So that means this Ravens Steelers game is the final game of Week 18. Lurch, according to ESPN, what do you believe is the cheapest possible ticket right now to Ravens Steelers, which essentially is a playoff game? Winner in, loser goes home. What do you think the cheapest possible ticket is?
Tough ticket. All right, I'm going to go 180.
$275.
Wow, even more than I thought. Ticket. Holy, okay.
That's the cheapest ticket to get in this weekend.
That's going to be a fun
playoff game.
It's going to be a fun building.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably be worth that money because of the environment. It'll just be so crazy there. So,
oh my God. And there's
yeah.
just a hatred between these two teams. So
Right.
that one of them is going to eliminate the other.
Yep.
So the jubilee, it's tonight's fantasy
Phenomenal.
championship game. It's a perfect
Phenomenal.
microcosm. The jubilation of one of us hoisting the trophy and being on there, and and then the defeat and anguish of someone else who's good. There is a winner and there is a loser. It is black and white. It will be black and blue between these two teams beating each other up, but the vision is black and white. There's a winner and a loser. It is a binary result. It is this or that, up or down, and someone's going to win. Fascinating. It's going to be theater. Great theater.
Great theater. Like, I don't know, like Giants Cowboys. Well, a cheap ticket there, sitting in that building is exciting. I like to go to games that matter. I like to go to games where the environment is insane. That's going to be
the environment will not be insane.
That's going to be a great place on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great, and it's Sunday night. I mean, that's going to be off the rails.
Atmosphere will be electric, I imagine. And you love that city. That's your city.
Yeah, it's a good city. Hate to go up there just for a cup of coffee, though, man. I like to go up there for a couple of dinners.
But you're down there, so maybe he can hook you up.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, have to make some phone calls, man. See if there's any.
There you go. Hey, you may want to pull the trigger on it, man.
Yeah,
you only live once.
That'd be worth the trip. Again,
that'd be cool.
Weather permitting, because that's a rough drive too, man. I mean, Pittsburgh probably itself will be fine, but it's getting up through Buffalo and all the way out. You go out almost all the way to Erie, Pennsylvania, before you start heading south, and you are running right along Lake Erie, man. And
what a sight, Lurch.
Look out, man.
The temperature is set for 28 degrees at kickoff, 8:20 Sunday Night Football, and snow is in the forecast.
Snow is in the forecast, huh?
But that would be a beautiful spectacle. You see the Ravens and Steelers, these iconic teams, slamming against each other in a playoff game with the snow. Could be.
I'm getting goosies. I'm getting goosies just thinking about it. I don't care. Like, good football is good football. Of course, I love my Giants, but. But I have kind of a second love for the Steelers, and just good football is good football. When you have two traditional rivals like that, the Ravens and the Steelers have had so many epic games. This is it. The Ravens had this terrible start this season. They've somehow clawed their way to this position. They're playing a last game without their quarterback. They might be playing without him again this week. Aaron Rodgers, the old grizzled guy, just trying to, fight his way through it. He's all banged up, nicked up, bloodied up. I don't know. There's just something poetic about it, something fun about it. Neither one of these teams is going anywhere in the playoffs, but I don't care. Like, I still want to see it. It's still a spectacle. It's still the struggle to get someplace this season for both of these teams. Like, you can't tell me that Mike Tomlin doesn't care. You can't tell me that John Harbaugh doesn't care. You can't tell me that both of those guys don't believe that if they get into the playoffs, that they could do something in the playoffs.
Sure.
I don't think either one of them can this year. I just don't think they have the horses, but they believe it. So they're going to play like they believe it. And you've got, some really good players on both teams too. That's a good game. That's a really good game.
We'll see if that happens. Lurch, if it does, keep us posted. Yeah.
Options. I got options. That's for sure. I got options. All right. Wow. Well, we got one last game to talk about, and that's tonight, Boy Green, Monday Night Football. It is the LA Rams. We'll get to see them in action against the Atlanta Falcons. This one is down in Atlanta, and the Falcons are 8-point underdogs. I took Atlanta just solely because I'm a Bijan Robinson fan tonight, but I don't know if I feel with much conviction about Atlanta +8. I really like the position, actually, that the Rams are in. Is there any kind of update on Devontae Adams? Is he going this week? I don't think he's going. I think he's still done. I think he's still out for another week. I think that's what I've been hearing. But he makes a difference for sure. But other than Devontae, still the Rams have a ton. Atlanta keeps surprising teams, and they do tend to play a little bit better at home. And that place, of course, is a nice contained, controlled, climate-controlled environment. So it should be conducive of scoring for both of these teams.
He is doubtful for this game tonight. Devontae is doubtful for the game.
I heard that. Yeah. Okay. So probably no Devontae. So they're down a guy. That hurts him a little bit. Yeah. But I still think the Rams have enough. So I'm kind of a Ram guy tonight in terms of what the score will end up being. But I'm a Bijan fan for sure because fantasy football is obviously on the line.
That's true. I also picked the Falcons +8 tonight at home +8. And here's the thing that I'm hoping for Bijan. The Rams have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So hopefully that comes to bear here on this game. But again, receptions. I don't want them to just go, all right, we can't run it. I guess we'll dump it off to them every time. That's worse because you get a point per reception. So I may be screwed either way. But either way, I'll be on the edge of my seat. I'll be all over this game and praying to whatever football gods exist out there in the universe to deliver me another fantasy championship because I will get either the thrill of euphoric victory or the devastating defeat where I'll be in the fetal position for the next couple of months until fantasy season.
All right, and the exact tally, folks, going
Yes.
into tonight, just so it's all on the line. Manchild sits right now at 116.9 points with Bijan Robinson to play for his squad. Boy Green sits at 113.68 points with Kyle Pitts to go for him tonight. So that's what it is. It's Pitts against Bijan, Falcon against Falcon, and Boy Green's got to make up a little over 3 points on me in that situation. Certainly advantage Manchild based on projection.
For sure,
but
no doubt.
Again, game script, injuries, everything that can happen in fantasy. Who the bleep knows what the heck is going to happen? But we will be watching it with bated breath. If it does come down to the second half, if it is tight, I will dial Boy Green up and we will come on to our little feed here on the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital Network here. And we will literally game cast it for you for the second half of the game if it's really tight. We will game cast it for you, and you can see every ounce of pain and joy in either one of us based on how that thing is playing out. Oh my God. Hope it doesn't come down to that. So,
Yes.
And Jamie, please don't say things like, Manchild, you've got it in the bag.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you definitely do, Manchild. Congratulations, Manchild.
Putting the whammy on it. Oh,
yeah. There you go. Nice job. Here, should I just order the Plaque and Owl lurch for you? Should I just,
yeah. Pull that trophy over. Bring that trophy over a little closer. Get up and grab
see.
that thing. So let's read. This will be the last thing we do today.
Okay.
All right. So read all the champions in the history of our league. The league started in 2017. 17. Okay, so 2017 was the first year we did fantasy football. We started it on our radio show and now have extended it into our digital world. And by the way, if you're not already a subscriber, subscribe right now, youtube.com/@MCShowDigital. There it is, right on your screen to become a subscriber right now. We'll be giving away all kinds of free stuff. All right, so we started it in 2017 with the Champs League alone. We expanded and now have 4 leagues. Boy Green's got other trophies behind it, but we're not going to get them out. But the Champs League is the baby. This is the one where we have a live draft every year. You have to be there in person or you cannot play in the league. 12-team league, full point PPR. We have had champions going back to 2017. Boy Green, walk us through all of the champions of our league leading up to last year.
2017, Jim Lurch. Manchild's Giants. So every time a champion is crowned, we give them the year.
Kept it really simple back then.
Yeah. Yeah. Which again, we go year, person's name, first and last, and then whatever their team name was that year. Most people change their team name on a year-to-year basis. 2018, Paul A. Esden Jr. Boy Green, Winters is coming.
Winters is coming. That's in the head. That guy's Winters was on the
Brian
Jets.
Winters, the
He's
former
like a long
Jets
snapper
guard,
wasn't he?
Yeah,
Was it
Jets guard
Was it
out of Kansas State. So salute to Brian Winters, and I was a Game of Thrones fan back then, still am. So Winters is coming 2018.
So we went back to back first 2 years. I won, then you won. We were like, all right,
Not
showing
bad.
dominance
Okay.
in our own
Yeah,
fantasy
yeah,
league.
yeah.
Not a bad
Take
thing.
that.
Okay, year 3.
2019, fantasy football expert Jordan McNamara, the London Silly Nannies of
The London
2019,
Silly Nannies.
won the league. And a ringer. Jordan's written a fantasy football book. I mean, he's had a lot of success. So Jordan McNamara, yes, 2019.
And he could not make the fantasy draft the following year and was
So he left
out of the league and has not returned. So he was a one-and-doner in our fantasy league, but he continues to study fantasy.
Sure.
He's a big dynasty fantasy guy too. He's written a book on dynasty football as well, but he has not come back to our league. All right. After that, who won the following year?
The COVID year, 2020, one of the COVID years, because COVID lasted a while. Bill the FedEx guy, now Bill the produce guy. So in a previous job, where his title of his team name was Not This Time, in terms of getting dropped down, which I believe, because there's
Bill
no
was
asterisk
the recipient.
here.
Yes, he should have an
That's
asterisk.
right.
Bill was the recipient of a free pass. Again, because the Champs League is a live draft. We had a member who had earned their place in the league, but could not be at the live draft. We said to them kindly, unfortunately, if you can't be at the live draft, you can't be in the league. We'll place you in the Chumps League, the league below the Champs League, and you'll have a chance to finish in the top 3 to re-earn your spot into the Champs League for a future draft. but we have to find somebody else. Bill, the FedEx guy, who was a regular participant in our Champs League those first few years, he had lost that year, was in the bottom three and dropped down to the Chumps League. And since he was a loyal player and a guy who did a lot of stuff on the waiver wire, was very active in trades, was a very high-level participator in the league, we reached out to him and said, hey, we've got a spot. Would you like to take a free pass and stay in the Champs League for another year? He said yes, and then he went on and won the league which obviously got him in the following year as well before he started to fall about. We could talk about his journey since. It has not been a good one, as he is now headed for the Quad Cities League. So that was a while ago that Bill won, but Bill is a one-time champion in the Champs League. Okay, continue.
2021, we've updated it to Jim the Man-Child Lurch, the 12th man, parentheses, child, parentheses.
That's the name of my
there
team,
you
the
go.
12th Man-Child.
Yeah,
little
there
play
you go.
on the situation out there in Seattle. So that was in 2021.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay.
All right, we go on to the next year, 2022. Jamie, the FedEx guy. We have all these damn FedEx guys winning this thing.
Yeah,
the
true.
3D mystery. Again, that was
3D
also
mystery.
part of the COVID stuff, and we had to make all kinds of crazy decisions with COVID. So did all commissioners, by the way, for that matter, with the COVID and, in this case, the horrific Damar Hamlin situation, which thankfully didn't end in tragedy, but it was a very scary moment in the time in the middle of a Monday Night Football game between the Bengals and Bills, and caused all kinds of drama. And so speaking of asterisks, there may be one there for one Jamie the FedEx guy, but nonetheless, he is a champion on this side of the trophy. So the 3D mystery, there you go.
A champion is a champion, but he was a beneficiary of that game never being continued. His opponent had Jamar Chase and was only down a few points, and never got those points from Jamar Chase, and as a result, did not win the league that year. What a way to go down! Unfortunate way
for Brian
that
Drake.
Was Brian Drake's team. Drake is still in our league and fighting to try and win his own championship. So he wants to earn one, and he'll continue to fight for it again next year, as he has earned a spot again in the Champs League. He did not make the playoffs this year, but did not finish in the bottom three.
Right.
So Brian Drake will be back, another fantasy insider. Okay, after the Jamie. What was it called? 3D mystery. He changed his name.
3D mystery.
I still don't know what 5 times
means.
during that season. None of us know what it means. Jamie is a rabid name changer. He changes his name not only every season, but multiple times during a season sometimes.
Yes.
All right. After Jamie, who won the following year? 2023.
Once again, Paul A. Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green, the discount double jet. Great nickname there.
Play on the
Aaron Rodgers
situation. Yes.
Yes, won in 2023. And my Jets didn't win that year, but I won the championship. So I hang on to that tightly. And then finally, this past year, Jabber's Wing Sauces, who you shaded multiple times during all kinds of fantasy video production.
Sorry, Sean.
Sean was our winner in 2024, Sean Onomak, and Jabber's Wing Sauces 2024. And then we await. There is a vacant spot here.
There it is, baby.
For the next champion.
I'm looking for my third time on that trophy right there, baby. Or Boy Green's going to get a third time. There will be a 3-time champ no matter what after tonight. Somebody will have their name, their ticket punched 3 times on that thing. And oddly, not that it really means anything, but there are these weird karma things. As you heard Boy Green say, I won it in 2017. I won it in 2021. And if you do the math, every 4 years, I'm due to win it. Where are we? 4 years later at 2025. Will it happen again? Oh,
that'd be crazy.
Crazy streaks that happen in the world of fantasy. Wow.
Which, by the way, one more. We just on a fantasy nugget before we wrap up here. I mentioned that we have a fantasy person that entered the bottom league, our Quad Cities League. And they sent in a tweet in the middle of the show. They must have heard us talking about him. And he wanted to give a shout out here. It's Austin Schmidt, who we will get to meet. He lives in Maryland, but he's going to be driving up for a fantasy draft. And he said, he tweeted at us in the middle of our show, at MCU Show Digital, at Boy Green 25. I did everything in my power to three-peat, but fell short. What an incredible season. I'm coming for the big trophy now. Much love. Appreciate you guys. Looking forward to being there. And what he meant is he won the Quad Cities and moved on. He won the Triple C, moved on. He had a chance to win the Chumps League to move on. And imagine that, winning 3 championships in a row, bing, boom, bam, and then coming up to the Champs League. That has obviously never happened before, and that you have to be in the right place at the right time to even have that possible. So obviously Austin is a very respectable fantasy football mind. He's talked a lot of crap, but obviously he's won 2 championships and then was in a championship game for a third one. put up a very respectable performance, but not good enough as Nikoski will win it. So shout out to Austin, who we will get to meet in person. I've never met him in my life, but he's been a big fan of the show for a long time. So salute to Austin and welcome to the big leagues. You earned your place, young man. You earned your place.
All right, man. Fantastic. It's getting to the point now we got people traveling to come play in our league, which is, by the way, folks, zero money. Okay. It is strictly
no money on the line.
Names on the side of that plaque and bragging rights for an entire year. It's amazing that we've been able to get this thing rolling the way we've got it rolling, with there being nothing at stake monetarily. But we have some very, very dedicated people.
Question.
Our league is getting better and better every year. The competition is getting harder and harder. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can compete in this league much longer, as difficult as it continues to get. There are some really, really brilliant minds. You have got to be on top of your game with these people that are in our league. So it's going to be another good fight this year, but even more to come next year and beyond. And again, if you love fantasy football, even if you're not an experienced player yet, a great way to get in is to get in one of our leagues. We do periodically have spots. There are only 48 total spots. So there is a very limited number of spots. I've talked to Paul maybe about going to a fifth league. I think 5 will be the ultimate, but we're at 4 right now. No immediate plans to go to a 5th league, but we'd love to have really extremely dedicated, 48 teams across these 4 leagues fighting for a chance to make it all the way up to the top league and win the top league, which is the penultimate prize. All you got to do is get in touch with Paul. You see the information right there. There's his Gmail. There's how to reach him on social, whether it's X/Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. Easy to DM Paul. Just say, hey, I'd love to be in this. I'd love to, either learn fantasy, or I'm already a dedicated fantasy person. I'd love to be in this. Keep me in mind. He'll put you on the waiting list. And then if we have a spot, and sometimes we find out about these things last minute, you can jump right in and be part of it. All the other leagues, the 3 other leagues, are all done online. So they're all online drafts. So you don't have to be here in person. Only the top league, the Champs League, is an in-person draft. So you do not have to be in person for the other leagues. So you do not have to live in the Syracuse/Central New York area in order to participate in the other leagues. But for the Champs League, you would have to come to Syracuse, New York to participate in our draft. And we always set that date and the time and everything.
Months in advance.
Months in advance. So if you've got to make travel plans, Joe Bartle, the last couple of years, who comes all the way from Madison, Wisconsin, has been making plans to come to our draft. So we'll try and give you every opportunity, if you make it all the way up to the Champs, to be able to get up here for our draft. So there it is, a nice synopsis on it. All right, Boy Green, we've been through all the games. We've talked fantasy football. We'll see how it plays out tonight. Final thoughts, if you have any.
Yeah, one last plug for that on your screen. Again, we actually, the last time that we plugged this, someone reached out. A spot actually opened up in the middle of this season, and they claimed a spot in the Quad Cities League. Excellent. And so it's very serious, people. This isn't like a ominous list that you're going to enter and then you're never going to hear from me again. Again, I tell you, you just don't know. So, folks, if you're interested in fantasy football, you've either never played it before. Big Al is a great example. I always bring him up in our chat. And now he's in our Champs League, which is terrific. And he had a wonderful season and made it very deep. So he's up there. So if you've either if you consider yourself a fantasy expert, say, you know what, I want to get in the mix. If you're a fantasy football enthusiast or expert or what have you, those are all welcome. It doesn't matter. Newbies, veterans, young, old, we don't discriminate any which way. You guys are allowed to come in. Again, you guys can email me. That's paulaesdenjr@gmail.com, or any of my social media. All my DMs and messaging are open, even if you don't follow me or do follow me or what have you. So reach out and we will put you on the list. And again, you never know when the opportunity is going to strike. And Manchild will officially enter the Quad City Octagon, and he will be a part of every fantasy football league that exists. So literally, you guys can compete against all of us, Boy Green, Manchild, in all of our 4 fantasy leagues, no matter what league you happen to be in. So again, reach out if you're interested, and we'll add you to the list. And again, I can't guarantee anything because spots are limited, but things always happen, people. You want to be on the list.
You don't need to be a fantasy expert. You need one thing, and that is you have to be dedicated to your fantasy football team in our league. You have to every week set your lineup. You can't leave guys that aren't playing in your lineup. You can't leave injured guys in your lineup. You can't say, oops, I went to the Bahamas this week. Sorry, I didn't do anything. We will kick you out of the league if you do not take care of business every single week. Because if you impact the standings of other players by not setting your lineup, by not hitting the waiver wire and completing your roster, you're hurting the entire league. And we want to have a strong league top to bottom in all 4 of our leagues. So the only thing you need to bring to the table is dedication to the craft. You can have a willingness to learn. Big Al is a perfect example. He knew very little about fantasy football, and now he was a contender this year. Could have won our league, was in first place, a good piece of the year, and is going to end up finishing in third place in our league. I mean, tremendous. And that's a guy that didn't know a ton about fantasy football and is learning by being part of a league. But the one thing Al has brought to the table that makes him a great league member is he's dedicated. And he checks his lineup every week. He checks on Sunday before the game starts.
Checks the waiver wire every week.
You have to do that, okay? If you're not going to do that, if you're just going to be lazy bones and just get in our league, draft your team, and then, I'll get to it when I get to it, don't bother. There are too many people on the waiting list that want to participate at a high level. That's all we ask, is that you are a high-level participator. That's all you need. That's all you have to bring to the table to be part of our leagues. All right, folks, it's been a long one today, but a good one. Really, really appreciate it. For Boy Green, Manchild signing off. We might see you tonight for fantasy football. Tune in if it gets dicey in the second half between the Falcons and the Rams. We'll just pop up in a random live feed to discuss the situation at hand, if indeed there is a situation at hand. If not, we'll talk all about it on Wednesday on our live show. Dalton Wasserman will be back with us as usual, and we definitely will be dropping Bud Poliquin tomorrow. Our usual bevies of guests, Jets, Giants, and Bills will all be on board this week. I know we are in New Year's week, so that could complicate matters a little bit, but we expect to have everybody on with us this week. All right, folks, we'll see you. Take care. Thanks for watching.